Okay, this is Story Game Sunday, Dance of the Damned. Okay, so cats, C-A-T-S. Patrick, I'm going to unmute you for a sec. C-A-T-S, cats, concept, aim, tone, subject matter. So the concept of Dance of the Damned is it is essentially the Edgar Allan Poe story, Mask of the Red Death, the role-playing game. If you don't know what Mask of the Red Death is, this is the deal with this game. Basically, we're telling a story of a medieval or maybe like Renaissance somewhere in there land kingdom that is stricken by a plague. Okay, stricken by a plague, and all the nobles and important people of the land and maybe the surrounding lands too have all traveled to this castle. They have raised the gates. They have posted guards at the walls, and basically they're letting all the poor people die of plague outside the walls while they drink and fuck and wait for the plague to pass. Okay, that's Dance of the Damned. Really up tempo, chipper game, as you might imagine. So we're going to be playing either these nobles or powerful people or possibly servants of those people. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, the way the game goes, it's a very simple sort of scene framing game. We each have a hand of cards, and we target other players, and we target them with cards, and the suit of the card that we use to target them indicates like the way we're targeting them. And what we're trying to do is to get the targeted player's character to succumb or yield or be overcome by the theme that overhangs that suit. Okay. So you have four suits. We'll talk about them in a minute, but basically that's the deal. So like I play a card on, say, Patrick's character. I have a little scene based off the card, kind of inspired by the card. And then Patrick defends with a card, and then whoever wins between us determines whether Patrick's character succumbed to my move or not, right? You'll be collecting cards as we play, and then the cards that you collect at the end, the ones that you have the most of, determines your final fate for your character. Okay, kind of determines your epilogue. We'll get into the details in a little bit, but that's the basic idea of the game. The aim of today is I'm going to briefly explain the rules, like real briefly, just kind of a basic overview. And then we're going to make characters. And then we're going to deal out a hand, make a couple of decisions we have to make, and then get playing. We will finish the story today. It's not a very long game. Tone is dark, 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 dark. And then if you think it's not dark enough, go darker, all right? It's dark. It is it's a game about a bunch of rich, indifferent people hiding behind the walls of a castle while the poors die outside. Okay, it's dark. Maintain that as best you can, right? Like levity is good as long as that levity has a cruelty to it or leads back to dark. Okay. Subject matter wise, a lot of stuff is going to be on the table here. Things like sex and debauchery are explicitly on the table. Depravity, cruelty, violence, all fair game. I'm going to stick with my normal. I prefer no sexual assault. I'm kind of okay with the hint of it or the threat of it, but not the actual doing of it. But otherwise, that's the only thing I kind of line on this game. Does anybody else have anything that they just like absolutely don't want to go there?
Just nothing to do with cats.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm not generally big into violence against animals either. And the way this game works mechanically, it shouldn't happen. It'd be weird for like violence against animals to happen. So, um, thank you. Good. Otherwise, we're going to have the X card on the table. The way it works in this context is we just say X card, or we type it in the chat, or we just do this. And we will stop. If we need to discuss what just happened, we will. But otherwise, if it's fairly obvious what just happened is being X carded, we'll just excise it and change things and go on to the next thing. Anybody have any questions about cats?
If I needed a touchstone media-wise, is there anything for me to grasp onto?
Yeah, good question. I mean, apart from Mask of the Red Death, I would say something like I thought about this once, and I'm not sure about like movies and stuff. In terms of the setting, probably like any kind of sort of Renaissance or medieval type setting, like
I'm thinking like From
War
Hell
Dogs or whatever.
Does that work?
No, this is going to be earlier in
No?
time than that. Yeah, this is like
Oh, okay.
it's definitely pre-Victorian. It's more medieval, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
David, you played this, you know? Or yeah.
I was just gonna say it's really specific, but there's like the Red Death scene from Phantom of the Opera. If you've ever seen a version of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the story, right? Basically.
I haven't seen that. Oh well. Okay.
Let's just go with this. Go with like, or how about this? This is good. Like think of like behind the walls of the Red Keep in Game of Thrones, except everyone's dying on the outside, and Cersei's just throwing a big party where we're going to drink and fuck and
Doesn't seem that odd actually.
and do violence to each other, right? Until the problem passes. That's the idea.
All right.
So that
Tammy's
level
in
of
the house.
technology, that level of
Gotcha.
but don't get too hung up on it though. It'll be fine. We don't have to be historically accurate here, right? We don't even name the kingdom. It's just like someplace. So cool. Any other questions? Okay. David, I know you've played this. Patrick, have you played this?
I have not, and I generally like to read things before I come in. I've just had a busy week for it, so I don't know much about it.
Yeah, not super necessary. We'll be fine. Okay, cool. So now the next thing to do is I want to talk briefly about the rules, just a little bit. So the gameplay is dictated by the 4 suits in a deck of cards, okay? And broadly speaking, each of those suits has like means something in the game, right? So diamonds mean, I'm gonna get my book out just so I don't misstate it, but just don't want to say the wrong thing here. Diamonds represent decadence, okay? So as soon as I can find my little thing. Sorry, I thought I had this more at hand, but I don't. Here we go. Diamonds mean decadence and corruption. Okay, so if you to kind of help you remember that, just think of like a diamond, like the jewel, meaning wealth. Like jewels equal wealth, diamonds equal wealth. In this case, decadence and corruption. So a scene framed with diamonds will most likely be an attempt to corrupt someone to some kind of vice, right? So sex, drugs, alcohol, some kind of lapse in morality. There's usually no violence involved because the point of it is to get them to tempt them with like earthly pleasures, right? So that's diamonds. Clubs are violence and conflict, all right? So it could be physical violence or it can be just like intense social conflict, right? But if you think about like clubs as a weapon, like a club as a weapon, that's how you know clubs are violence, okay? Hearts represent hope and love, okay? So whenever you frame a scene with a heart or defend with a heart, you're basically you're framing or defending around the idea of like hopefulness, maybe even romance, appealing to people's better natures. It's the good suit, okay? And you know it's the good suit because it's a heart, right? So think of hearts, think of love. And then finally, spades. Spades are plague and despair, all right? So if you want to be real literal about it, what your spade can mean the literal plague. Like maybe you can't just like inflict someone with plague, but you can like suggest they have plague, like, oh, like suggest symptoms, like, oh, your character suddenly has, a weird rash or whatever, right? Or it could be something like something about the plague on the outside gets on the inside, right? It can also be despair. So I've seen people use spades to like frame up scenes that have to deal with it, like really intense issues like suicide and things like that, right? Or self-harm or whatever, right? So plague and despair. If you think about a spade as a digging tool, you might think of digging holes to bury bodies in, like plague-ridden bodies, okay? So those are your 4 suits and the 4 reminders. As I said, this is a really chipper game. Apart from the hearts, it's really, really uplifting. So be ready for that. So the way it works is on your turn, you are the active player and you're responsible for targeting another player character, right? You don't always, your character doesn't even have to be in the scene. You're just the kind of scene framer, right? So I decide I want to play a diamond on Fraser's character. And I play the diamond and it's a 10 of diamonds, say. And I describe like a big party, or a big feast. You know, I've invited his character. Some characters invited his character to this big feast in the castle, and they're plying them with food and wine and whores, right? And all that's going on. Fraser can choose to play a card higher than mine to basically show how he resists it, right? Like, I'm not going to succumb to this, right? Or he can choose to play a lower card and just yield, right? And basically show how maybe he tried to defend himself, but basically he just gave into it, and that's how it goes. Whoever loses keeps the winning card, okay? And we take that winning card, and we collect it. If you'll notice on the sheet, I've put like cards collected, right? At the end of the game, you're going to count up all the cards you have, and the one that you have the most of in terms of suit, that determines your character's final outcome. And your final outcome is the only really good one is the heart. Okay, so if you end up with, like, you know, if your final outcome is a spade, for example, if you get spades, you're going to have your epilogue's going to be pretty dark, all right, and probably filled with despair, all right. We embrace that. That's the point. Okay. But here's the thing: there's a strategy to it too, because we're each going to have a player fate. Okay, so our player fate is a suit we have each secretly chosen, and it's based off. It's a strategy. So, like, you're going to know what your hand looks like, and you can make a guess about like what cards you might be vulnerable to. And so you might choose to make that your player fate because you might collect more cards of that type. So if I've got a hand that has like very few spades or no spades, I know that I'm probably going to be hit with more spades than normal. And so I might make spades my player fate so that in the end, if I do end up with mostly spades, I will be the winner. Okay. There is a winner. You can be a winner in the game. It doesn't mean much, right? Like, it has very little meaning. If you just want to be the winner, if you're aiming for being the winner, go for it. If you don't care about that, just play whatever you think is interesting. But one little bone I usually throw out to the people who win, basically the people who are, quote, winners, get to kind of narrate the final outcome of the castle, right? Like, after we've all done our epilogues, the winners can kind of decide like what happens to the land, to the castle, that kind of thing. So you can be a winner if your character's fate matches your player fate. Like, they ended up with mostly spades and you chose spades at the beginning. Or you can be a winner if the castle's fate is also determined in the same way, but you look at everybody's collected cards. And so if you chose spades as your player fate, and the castle got mostly spades, which means more spades were won around the table, then that makes you a winner also. So there's lots of ways to win. You can choose to play it strategically or not. I've played in games where some people are playing strategically, some people are not. It all works fine. It doesn't matter. The important thing is frame up cool scenes, enjoy seeing these characters, enjoy the melodrama, embrace the darkness and all that kind of stuff. So that was a lot to say. I'm sorry. I apologize for all that talking, but do you guys have any questions about any of that? We'll get to the finer details as we go. You can actually help each other and stuff too, and we'll talk about that as we play.
I had a couple questions.
Sure, go ahead.
So when someone throws a card at you to do a scene, you have to respond with another card. You can't just take it.
Yeah, you must put it. You can throw a low card in if you want. If you want the card, you can just throw in a low card, right?
Okay.
And take it. And importantly, if you're targeted, you are the focus of the scene, right? Like, your character is the focus of the scene. The person doing the targeting, they don't even have to have their character in the scene, right? So.
Okay. And also, do you have to respond with a card of the same suit?
No, you may, but you don't have to. If you respond, so here's the thing. If you respond with a different card, a card of a different suit, the other players have the option of helping the loser at that point. So, like, if, let's say I play one against you, you play one against me, Patrick, and yours is higher, David now, or whoever's next, can choose to play a card with me to try to get me to win, because he might want to see you succumb to whatever I played on you, right? And at that point, the values of the cards no longer matter. It's just whoever has the most cards, okay? So, like, at that point, I'd be winning no matter what, because I have 2 cards on my side, right? And then Fraser can choose to put a card with you. That would tie us up. If we're both tied at that point, then we look to see which is the trump suit, and it'll be different every game. But whatever the trump suit is, there's like an order of like trumps. then that determines who actually is the loser and the winner. So now here's the little twist. If I play a heart on you and you play a heart back on me, we have both chosen to embrace hope and love. And so the other players can't help us, right? Like it's kind of like both of us are just saying, yep, we're going for hope and love here. And we know.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So if
Yeah,
you respond in kind, it locks it to just the two
exactly.
of you.
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
mix it, it opens it up to the table.
Right, exactly. Because if you mix it, it kind of gives the other players a chance to say, huh, I think that's more interesting. I'm going to help that person. So.
I see. And so is the pacing mechanic just the deck size?
Once all the cards are gone, basically, once you get down to one card, you can choose to not play a card in response. So you can be targeted, and you just have to take the card. You can choose to hold on to your one card. And then once it gets to your turn, you have to play that one card against someone. Once it gets down to one player with one card, then the game is over. And they will play that card on someone else if they wish. That will be the final scene, and then we go to the end game to do epilogues. So,
okay.
It's
and that heart played on heart scenario, is that true of all of the different suits, or is that just for heart?
Oh no, yeah. If I play a spade, you play a spade. It's the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you've chosen to embrace the thing played against you, it's just between the two of you then.
Okay. And the other players couldn't contribute a spade or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No. At that point, there's no helping if you both play the same suit. So. Yeah. So, oh, good. That's a good little note there. Whoever put that there. Yeah. So let's talk about characters. If you go to the Roll for Your Party window, which I'll remind you is called Multiply Tops Crayfish. I have already sorted out the character cards because the way Roll for Your Party works, there's no way we could do it in real time. I had to kind of pre-do it. So, but basically we have a King of Diamonds, a Jack of Hearts, a King of Spades, and a Queen of Clubs. These mean specific things in the fiction, okay? And we'll talk about that now. And you guys can decide, we can kind of decide which of those we think is interesting and play a character of that type. Kings always represent powerful lords and ladies, okay? Powerful princes, people in charge of factions, okay? So that's what a king is. It can also be, it doesn't necessarily have to be nobility. Like you could be the Pope, right? And you'd be the king. If you could be a Pope, if you had a king card. You could be a powerful prince. If you come from a land that's like militaristic, you might be a very powerful general. Okay. The idea is if you're a king, you're in charge, and there are people there at the castle who listen to you. Okay. The King of Diamonds, which we have, the King of Diamonds is the person who owns the castle. Okay. So whoever chooses the King of Diamonds is also the person whose castle this is. All right. So that's what's going on there. So we have two kings. We have a King of Spades and a King of Diamonds. Spades, so diamonds in all cases represent wealth and decadence. Okay, so diamond characters are usually very wealthy, and they often indulge their pleasures and they use their wealth to get things done. So whoever chooses the King of Diamonds, you're going to be in charge of the castle, and your jam is spending money, right, and showing off your wealth and indulging. Whoever chooses the King of Spades, you're going to be in charge of something, a bigwig, but you are defined by illness and despair. Okay. So you bring both ennui and the plague into the castle, right? So you're a bigwig, but the plague and despair define you. Okay. Let's talk about the other ones. Queens. We have one queen on the table. Queens are not necessarily women, though they can be. Queens are advisors and ministers. Okay, they are like the power behind the throne. So if you choose to be the queen, you're a vizier, an advisor, a minister. You might be like a captain of the guard, something like that, like a higher placed subject, basically. You are not necessarily connected to one of the other characters. You might just be like the advisor of some other faction, right? That's totally fine. So that's what queens are. And clubs represent violence and conflict. So characters dominated by clubs are usually warriors and fighters. So in this case, we're probably going to have a warrior type, second in command, right? But it could be social as well as physical. So the conflict could be, maybe you're an actual queen, and your whole thing is sowing discord among the nobles or something, right? That would be a good Queen of Clubs as well. Or maybe you're a petty a petty vizier who likes to spread gossip, then maybe that's your conflict for your clubs. The other thing we have on the table is the Jack of Hearts. Okay, this is going to be our good guy. Jacks are servants. Okay, servants and peasants. All right. So each of the nobles has brought their own entourage into the castle. You are a member of someone's staff. Okay, if you choose the Jack. The hearts represent hope and innocence, and so you're basically going to be like the hopeful, noble, innocent peasant or servant. All right. Doesn't mean you're going to get to engage in dark stuff. In fact, tempting you will be a principal joy of the rest of us, right? But but that is what's going on with that person. So it could be a servant. It could be like a courtesan. I think would be fine. Something like that. A consort of some sort. Basically, you have no social stature. That's important. So we have those on the table. Does anybody have any thoughts on which of those archetypes they might like to be? I'll take whatever's left. So
I like the Queen of Clubs, if no one else had their eye on it.
I'm fine with pretty much anything as well, I think. So
I liked the King of Spades there.
Okay. Okay. I'll be. I hate to pigeonhole Fraser because Fraser seems like such a nice, innocent person. Do you want to be the Jack of Hearts, Fraser?
We're gonna corrupt him. Oh my gosh, we're gonna corrupt Fraser.
Sure, I think it will be easy to play. So.
I can do King of Diamonds, so I'm totally into that. That's my jam.
I'm okay.
Unless you want to be King of Diamonds, you want to be King of Diamonds, you can be.
No, the heart one seems interesting. I have I had this idea that it would be interesting to thwart other people just from being naive.
Yeah. Or be Canadian, weaponize an apology, right? Yes, you could totally do that. Like that. If you have hearts, right? I mean, you might end up with a bunch of diamonds, and you got to figure out a way to make that work, right? But again, your character doesn't have to be in the scene when you're targeting, right? So,
right.
So you're basically mostly going to be responding as your character. You're not necessarily going to be like going in as your character, right? So, so you still get to play all the decadent, nasty things you want from your hand. Great. Okay, cool. Well, with that in mind, we will each grab a column on the sheet and straight away, make a note of the card you've collected for the character choice, because that counts as one of your cards that you've collected. And note that. So I'll take the first column, and I have a King of Diamonds. Now, let's think of who we want our characters to be. Well, I run the castle, obviously, so I'm going to be. I'm not going to be a king. I'm going to be like an archduke. That's what I'm going to be, which is right up there with a king, right? Pretty close.
How specifically medieval are we? Or are we fantasy medieval?
I'd like for it to not have fantasy elements, if that's okay.
Okay.
No wizards or anything like that. So.
Then I was thinking a religious leader. If we've got monotheistic, then it's a particular sect or order that deals with the dead and funeral things.
Oh, like that. Okay, so like a powerful order of monks or priests or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm into that. Sounds good to me. You should probably be like an archbishop or something, since you're a king. That's a pretty high rank.
Yeah, I was thinking up there in that archbishop popey type area.
I wouldn't mind being a member of that entourage, maybe a priest that was demoted, like a Carolinian, because I've been obsessed with that lately, which is a member of the church that dealt with exorcisms and stuff, but as the times progressed, they were basically just excised from that culture within the church. So someone who I like the idea of being like a priest who was demoted because they wouldn't get rid of their ideals for one way or the other, even though the church was moving in a different direction, they refused to go that way. And instead of being completely excised from the church, like exiled, the punishment was to be downgraded in some way.
So you're part of this. So you're saying you're explicitly part of this Archduke of the Funerary Sects, like, quote,
yeah,
whatever, right?
Yeah, if you're okay with that, and then
yeah,
like the idea of me being with you, I think, is like part of the punishment. Like the fact that I'm allowed to come in with you and be saved from this plague, and I have to watch everybody else out there die while also being demoralized and demoted within this place.
So what's your hope and love angle, I guess?
To stick to my principles, even though, like, through the test, maybe.
Oh, okay. So like no matter, so you're like very pure and virtuous is the idea, right?
Yeah, I'm like the more embodiment of the church, whereas everybody else, part of it higher up, is like I see as corrupted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I imagine the rest of it's like maybe not. Well, like there are gonna be a lot of corrupt people as a general matter, right? They're engaging in corrupt behavior right now, so like running away from this problem, right? So
I definitely engaged in like every underhanded lever I had to get myself in here.
David, what are you going to be playing?
I'm going to be playing a chief inspector of what I'm calling the Archduke's Scrutiny, which is like a information gathering torturers.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Oh, just to be clear, Patrick Vermortio, can we call him an archbishop just to keep our two titles like, not to confuse them, I guess, because David, I'm assuming you're my torturer. Okay. And I'm going to be playing the Archduke of this land. My name is going to be Archduke. I was going to say Ferdinand, but that'd be stupid.
I'm pretty sure I know what happens after this.
He lives for 300 years, and then Archduke Philip. I think obviously this land is mine. I think my whole jam is basically, I think I'm just like the richest person. Like that's why like my castle has been. I basically sent out the invites to all of you saying like, come here to all of you. Well, maybe not to some of you specifically, but to the various lords and ladies who are gathering. Right? It was like, come here. We'll hide from the plague. I'm spending a ton of fucking money. Basically just whining and dining like all these people and supporting everybody. Okay. And I'm defined principally by my wealth. So, cool. Awesome. So Barley, Mortio, Ruthless Knox, that's a good name, and Archduke Philip. Great. Okay, and now we will show, now that we've done that, I have one other card pulled, which is hidden right now. You guys can't see it, but in a minute I'm going to reveal it, and that's going to be like, that's going to show what our trump is, what our trump suit will be, okay? But for now, we're going to divide up the remaining cards. Let's see, 47 divided by 4 is 12 each and 11 for 1. Is that the idea? Do I have that right? 36, yeah. Yeah, somebody will end up with 11. Whoever chose the Queen of Clubs, that'll be you, David. So you'll have 11, all right? Cool. So basically, everybody but David draw 12. So go to the little like thing where it says cards, and type in 12 and click on enable hidden draws. Like go click on enable hidden draws, that little box down below. Make sure that's checked, and then draw 12 cards for yourself. And then David, you'll do the same at 11.
So I just put cards, :12.
Well,
submit.
the colon's already in there. Just type in 12 on.
Yeah, so I just hit submit as long as
and then hit submit. Yep.
Okay.
And you should now have 12 or 11 cards that have purple borders around them. So everybody have a purple border. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now, basically, that's your hand. Okay, for the game. You will never get any more cards than this. This is the max. This is all the cards you're going to have in your hand. Taking a look at that, if you desire to win the game, you might take a look at that and make a decision about which cards you're likely to get. Like basically, like which cards do you think you're going to be weak against, right? Which suit you're going to be weak against. Or you can play it kind of strategic. Like if you have a lot of high cards, maybe you I don't know, decide it however you want. Basically, the idea is you want to collect. Ideally, you're trying to collect as many cards of your chosen suit. Okay, but we're going to choose the suits here in a minute. We're going to choose our player's fate. So take a look at your cards for a second. If you have any questions about strategy, just ask me, and we can work it out. But
so we have to choose what our fate is now.
Yeah, and we're going to write it down. You're just going to write it down for yourself, like on a note or a piece of paper somewhere, and then keep it to yourself until the end of the game.
Okay.
Ace high or king high?
Great question. Aces are high against face cards. They count as 14. So jacks are 11, queens are 12, kings are 13, aces are 14. However, aces against number cards are low. They're only ones. Okay.
So, weird.
Yeah, so they're low against numbers. They're high against face cards.
So I want to choose my fate as what I think I'll be receiving the most?
Yes, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So, for example, if you have a bunch of diamonds, there's a good chance you're not going to be attacked with a bunch of diamonds, right? Because you have many of them. Or if you have like a bunch of low diamonds, the high diamonds are still out there, right? So it's guesswork, but and also you're starting with one, right? Fraser, you have a heart already, right? Like in your hand or collected. So that's one strategy, right? You can go with like that one because you've already got one. So. But you'll be able to pick up what people are aiming for pretty easily, because like if I play a 7 of something on David and he goes and plays a 4, it means he probably wanted that 7, right? Or if I play a middling card and he still loses, there's a good chance that he wanted that suit, right? Like that's something you can read into that, right? Or you can bluff too, right? You can have a bluff round, whatever. Mm. But basically, from now on, whenever you play a card, playing a card just means you'll click on the card and then click reveal selected, and that will reveal it to each other and reveal it to the whole table, and that's how we'll know it's played. Okay.
And then how do you in this thing take the card from somebody else or give it or whatever?
Well, so we're just going to delete them all, but you're going to note it on the sheet.
Oh, okay.
Where it says cards collected. So. Just to keep roll for your party clean, we're going to just delete all that stuff. Like, for example, now that we've written down our face cards, I'm just going to delete those so that I'm not mucking up things. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So we'll just go down the list of cards collected. Gotcha. Right. That makes sense.
It also makes it easy for each of us to see what everyone's collecting too, right? So we can throw wrenches in your plans, right? Because like something you can do in this game to fuck with people is to help them when they don't want help, right? They have no choice. They must take your help, right? Like if I can tell David's trying to lose, but I want to see David not win, I might like help him anyway, just because he has no choice. But no, whenever you help people, you're making your hand smaller, and if you're the first one to go down to one card, you're really vulnerable. Okay, so. But yeah. I think I've got mine though. I'm going to note my fate, my personal fate suit. Yep, I think I got it.
I've got mine.
Got mine. Fraser, are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, your screen was frozen. So.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, your screen was. Yeah. Did you choose yours?
Yeah, I chose it. I
David,
just
do you have
marked it
yours?
on like Notepad.
Yeah, I've got mine.
All right, cool. All right, that step is done. Ooh, let's go to the next one. Create characters, dealt hand, choose fate card, reveal a trump. All right, let's do our trumps. So I'm now going to reveal this trump card. Our trump is clubs. Okay, so the way what that means is if cards are tied, the trump always wins. Okay, there's an order as well. So if clubs are the main trump, it then goes spades, hearts, and diamonds, and I'll note that on the sheet.
So it's kind of like weird 2-person euchre rules. Yeah, a little bit. There's like a few tweaks, but it's mostly euchre.
Say it again. It was clubs and then spades
I wrote it down. It's on the sheet.
on the sheet.
Yeah, on the left.
Oh, I see it there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Clubs, spades, hearts, diamonds. So basically, clubs beat everything. Spades beat hearts and diamonds, and so forth. Diamonds in a tie will always lose. So this will also have a subtle effect on the game, right? Because it means clubs are kind of hanging over the air. And so whenever ties have to get resolved, the club will always be the determining factor. So our game will be that much more defined by violence and conflict, okay? Great, so that's done. And the next step is we're playing the game. So I thought what we would do is we'll do there's a special round of scenes called the journey scenes, in which no cards get played. We'll do the journey scenes and we'll take a break and come back and begin regular play. Okay. The way the journey scenes work is we each are going to just narrate a scene for ourselves, showing our characters arriving at the castle. In my case and David's case, it might be just a scene like showing us preparing for the guests, right? Because we're already in the castle ostensibly. So basically, this is your chance to show, like, in these scenes, you want to show your character's journey to the castle and highlight something during their journey that shows, like, the plague, right? That shows the despair that's going on in the world, right? This is our chance to glimpse outside the walls before we go inside the walls. Does that make sense? And so I'll start. Some host, right, of this little shindig. I'm facilitating the game and I'm the host of the castle business. So Archduke Philip. We see Archduke Philip. The castle is huge. Okay, I mean, it's enormous. There are going to be whole wings set aside for like various factions, right? So we're going to have, maybe there's like a particularly powerful lady or a prince or something. They're going to have their own whole like set of rooms in the castle. And I'm making an inspection. I'm going through each wing, each bank of apartments, each section, and I'm going through and making sure that there's a personal touch for each of the guests, right? Like something that is a little bit of home, right? So, for example, there's a lady, we'll call her Lady Winthrop, and she's from a neighboring land. Her lands are neighboring to mine. And I know that Lady Winthrop, I know that she loves white roses. And so I've made sure that on the day that Lady Winthrop arrives, there are vases filled with overflowing like white roses, right? And I've even had like white roses sewn onto like the bedding and tapestries and things, right? To make her feel very welcome. A question that I'll pose in the middle of my scene to Mortio, to Archbishop Mortio Ward. What would I do to make you feel welcome in your section of the castle, because you will have your own place, right?
I think Mordio and his whole sect, they are like ostentatiously simple and poor and under embellished. They wear like rust spun black robes. They don't generally have shoes. They don't wear jewelry. So somewhere that is very simple and basic. But for Mordio in particular, it's not like he wants to be amongst the servants. It needs to be somewhere that's like very near to the ostentatious places, and like the various nobility going to their rooms walk by and see his simple little cell and are reminded of him.
I love it. You are conspicuously poor, right? Is that the idea? Right?
Yeah,
I like that. Good, perfect. And I'm going through my tour. I'm feeling mostly satisfied with how this is all going, how everything's looking. And then I have a decision to make. The decision that I have to make as I move through is I've gathered up all the servants, and all these servants who have been working for weeks to like prepare this castle, right? Many of them, they they get up each day at like 4 a.m. and they work until late at night, right? To make everything perfect for our guests. Once it's all done, we gather up all the servants, and then we go through, and whichever ones have physical evidence of the plague, we turn them out. We send them on their way and close the gates on them. And that's my beginning. Whoever wants to go next.
I'll go next.
Okay.
So Mordio,
you're describing the journey, right?
Yeah. Mordio, you see, it's sort of like a tight front shot on him, and he's got a very large leather-bound Bible there, and he's reading passages in Latin. It's a funeral rite. As it sort of zooms out some, and you see like a scattering of really bleak, dejected-looking villagers around him attending this funeral. And as he reaches the like end of the prayer that he was saying, he takes a torch from one of the villagers and walks forward, and it sort of zooms out, and you see this pile of like dozens of dead bodies that are all just together and limbs sort of out at all weird angles, and they've obviously been soaked in something. As he touches the torch to him, the whole thing goes up into this big bonfire. And it sends up this huge column of black smoke up into the air, and you sort of get like a helicopter shot zoom out as you see in the distance down the road like other villages where there's a similar column of smoke going up, and they're just sort of dotting the landscape. And it skips forward to like the bonfire's burned down. It's just ashes now, and Mordio is there in the center of it in his robes, barefoot, and like raking his hands through the ashes, so that as he leaves, like his fingertips up to his hands and his feet are blackened by these ashes, and he sort of leaves like a footstep path of him going away from this funeral, just ignoring the grieving villagers that were there now, until he comes up to the gates of the castle, like at a servant's entrance, but the one that's right next to the big gate, and he knocks there, leaving like an ashen handprint on the door.
Nice.
And I was actually curious, is Barl traveling with Mordio? Is he coming separately?
I like the idea of both, to be honest. Like, if he's being summoned by you, like compelled, or if he was like, traveling with you. Both is compelling. Whatever's most interesting to you.
So I sort of like maybe like I get there and then summon you because I need time to set up and prepare that the only rooms left for you are actually like fairly nice ones with well-appointed decorations and stuff.
Okay, sounds good.
Nice. Who wants to go next?
I think I'm ready. So I'm actually coming in from outside. I've been out in the city. I've had to capture someone to bring them in for questioning. And I'm moving in the center of this wedge of like 7 people who are similarly dressed to me. We have black capes and dark cloth, but our armor is like, it's like small kind of armor, like almost just ceremonial as a token of our station, and it's brightly burnished silver. And behind me at the back of this wedge is the prisoner who has a bag over their head and is in shackles. It looks like they're finely dressed, so it's probably somebody important. And as we're getting close to the castle, there's just a milling of people who are standing near the gate of the castle, hoping to be let in or hoping to receive some kind of charity. And they're really kind of a bit of a mob. And as we're pressing in with our wedge, they start to kind of press back, begging for things. And one of these people who has the plague kind of reaches out their hand and slaps it right on the ground near the front of my foot, and I stop. And I look down, and they're just begging me for food or for coin or something. And I look at them kind of sideways, and everyone has stopped who's a part of my coterie and is looking at me to see what I'll do. And I say, "Oh, I'll feed you more than you could want later." Then I step on their hand and look at my men, and they all draw their swords, and they just kind of push the crowd back, and anyone who doesn't get out of the way fast enough gets cut down as the gates open and we enter.
Nice.
It's just getting real.
Bring us back from the brink, Barl.
Yeah. I guess so. We cut to a small town, and we see Hans opening a letter with the summoning, and then it's another jump cut to like a horse-drawn carriage or something like that, with him making way to there. And as he passes that same scene with the pillar of smoke, it maybe goes black and white so the audience knows that it's back in time kind of deal. And we see like a young boy's face with a person being burnt alive on the stake, and like similar priest decrying, all in black. And then it comes out of the past again, and we see a full shot of Heath Ledger, my character. Except that instead of the black complete robes, there's a swath of white cutting across it, like it's draped around the neck and then full, like just hanging there below, drifting. And I think as the carriage goes up, maybe it's like after dark, so there's no begging presence or anything like that. But the naivety is shown because although the bodies have been removed from those people cut down, there's like a trail of blood that he doesn't even notice as the carriage gets pulled into the mansion. So Dark Hope arrives.
Indeed. So when we get back, we're going to do the first round of scenes. This first round of scenes is the only one where your character has to be the targeting, like you have to be in the scene, right? if you when you target. After that, you don't have to be in the scene when you're targeting. Okay. Another little note about the cards: if you choose to play either in defense or targeting a face card, you're actually bringing in another important NPC. Okay, so like if I play the Queen of Hearts, I have to play a powerful advisor or second in command or queen or something who is all about love and hope, right? So, and so like
Interesting.
so if you're defending with that card, it means that person comes in and saves your bacon somehow, right? If you're challenging with that card, it probably means you're playing that character and you're doing something to the challenged character. Okay, so.
And it's
yeah.
king is ruler, queen is advisor, second, and what's Jack again?
Servants.
Oh, okay.
And it's super nebulous, right? I mean, like it is, it's not like it doesn't have to be super precise, right? It's just a guideline. So, so we'll get back, and our turn order is just going to be as it's listed on the sheet. So it'll be me, then David, then Patrick, then Fraser, and we'll just always go around in that order. And and we'll begin this dark tale. Let's just take like 3 minutes, okay?
Cool.
right. So we're waiting on David. Give him a minute.
I'm excited to play My Life with Master finally too in a couple months with you.
Yeah. Is that November? Yeah.
Yeah, November. I was glad that you put it back up because it doesn't seem like anyone really plays it anymore. But
yeah, it's a good game. It's a really good game. It has a TikTok to it, you know. And the story is specifically, the game is specifically designed to end the same way every time, right? And it's got this really defined like back and forth. So it's like Master tells me to do something I don't want to do. I try to resist Master, but I can't. I feel bad about this. I go out into the village and I make friends with someone. I come back, Master tells me to do something I don't want to do.
yeah.
But I resist a little better this time, but still can't resist. I feel bad about it. I go to the village and I make friends. And so forth until you're getting increasingly better at resisting Master until finally it's Master tells me to do something I don't want to do. I kill Master, game's over. That's My Life with Master. That's how it goes. It's good though. It's fun. It works really well to tell that story. So cool. So let's begin. I'm going to be targeting Archbishop Mordio Word. And so I will click on my card and reveal it. You just hold for a second, Mordio.
All right.
But I reveal a Nine of Diamonds. And I'm being a little more deliberate about the rules here, just until we get the hang of it. But that means that I'm going to basically target you with decadence and vice, okay, corruption. And so the scene is, I think everyone's arrived, and I have been having, like a dinner with each of the new arrivals, each of the powerful bigwig people. I've been hosting like a private dinner in my quarters, one per night with every person, right? So Lady Winthrop, you know, Prince Farfanel, and so forth, right? And now it's your turn, Archbishop. And the scene is we're in my private quarters. I have a table that normally seats about 6, but it's just the two of us sitting at either end of this like table. There are candles lit all around and servants in black velvet livery standing, you know, kind of nearby. Tapestries hung, silver on the table, right? And my question, I'll describe myself first. Archduke Philip is, I think I'm a little older, like for the setting. I'm maybe like 40 or 45, but very fit. Like I keep my body in good shape, and I have a strong lantern jaw and just very well kept appearance. And so I look a little younger, maybe even than my years. But I'm there. I'm dressed in just a simple like plum colored velvet doublet, but still very expensive, right? But I've chosen plum out of respect for you because you're presumably very dour. So I've chosen funereal purple just for your pleasure. And I'm there. What do you look like at the other end of the table?
So Mordio is fairly tall and sort of a long, haggard face, but he tends to stoop over a bit, so he doesn't look quite as tall. But it makes his body sort of disguised, hard to figure out under this robe. He's got, like I said, bare feet and the ash on his hands and his feet, but the ash that he has is always just like perfectly gradiated and never seems to like rub off on his face or anything else. It seems very stuck to his hands.
Yeah.
And he's always like closely shaved. He looks very put together otherwise.
I say, Archbishop, I'm surprised you accepted my invitation. I figured during these dark times you'd be a rather busy man.
I am here for the service of all, high and low, and I would not have our hosts succumbing to grief and existential dread that should not be haunting one of your position.
How lucky for you that you get to perform funereal rites for the wealthy, while presumably some of your order are out there with the poor, with the downtrodden, with the uncomfortable.
You miscast me. Why just at the last village along the road I stopped to help some of the common folk with their funeral rites.
Yes, I smelled it, in fact.
Oh, did you notice? I did not mean to intrude upon your sightlines, of course.
These are dark times. It would seem that God has abandoned us. What do you think about that?
God cannot abandon us. How can you look at this and not see the work of some form of divinity? Obviously, a cleansing is happening, and when we are clean, we shall emerge again.
I think the dinner carries on with this little tete-a-tete back and forth for some time. And then I say, well, I know you're accustomed to spending most of your time with cold bodies. I thought you might be interested in giving some warm ones a chance for once. And then I kind of like snap my fingers, and two velvet curtains behind me, like two covering two doors or whatever, are pulled apart by the servants, and out of the door on the left come some nubiles, some lovely beautiful young girls, and out of the right there's some lovely beautiful young boys, all scantily dressed, all smelling sweet. This is your chance to defend yourself, I think. Which card will you play? Or submit, yield.
Reveal. That's gonna be that 3 of hearts.
Indeed.
As he sees one of the boys who catches his eye, and while he's in the middle of no, he says, well, I suppose the ranks of the order have been depleted. It is my duty to search diligently for ones who might fill the robes later.
Before you go any further, we'll give the other players a chance to maybe help you in this matter. Who would be next in the turn order? I guess after it would be Fraser. So Fraser, you can choose to play a heart to help Archbishop Mordio. Just any heart will do. You can throw away a low heart, because now if you help, all that matters is the number of cards, not the value of them.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think so.
David, would you like to help Archbishop Mordio?
Since I'm starting with a disadvantage of 11 cards now.
Okay, very good. Then yes, you succumb to this decadent pleasure. Just wrap up the scene here, Mordio. What does it look like?
So yeah, I think they sort of circle around for the rest of the dinner. He ends up landing on one of the boys, and he takes him back to his meditative chamber there, his very plain room. Yeah. Yes, and he pulls out of his bag a robe and says, "We'll obviously need to see if this one fits you." As he begins like undoing the laces on his shirt or whatever.
Oh, good that you're willing to induct him into service, right?
Well, yes, there are
to
certain
order.
rights that need to be followed.
Indeed. Very good. And now, if you will please, on your sheet, just note under cards collected a 9 of diamonds.
I have a question. Why does David only have 11 cards? I have
because
12,
there were only
right?
47 left. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Because you draw 4, and then the 5th one for a trump. So
Gotcha.
yeah, five face cards are not in the deck, right? So, cool. Which also helps with that, with not having to introduce too many NPCs, right? It's a very cleverly designed game. Awesome. Well, that was my targeting scene. Ruthless Nox, you're next. Who are you targeting?
I'm targeting Barl, of course.
Oh, and let me clear these cards. I'll clear these that are revealed right now.
Okay.
Real fast.
And do I reveal my card at the outset, or
Whenever you wish. Yeah, I
Whenever
did
I
mine at
wish.
the beginning, but whenever you wish.
Okay? So
And you have to be in the scene.
right, yeah, I've got to be in the scene. I have a particular wing that juts off of the castle. Some castle walls have that one tier that kind of branches out and then has a tower at the end of it, and that's where I do my business. And I have brought Barl out here, and I've brought him to the top of the tower, and there are just all kinds of people who are down there, like begging for things.
May I ask what you both look like?
Yeah, I'm wearing the same kind of clothes I was wearing before, with the black cloak, cape, and the silver armor. Underneath, it's pretty impractical armor. It's just ceremonial. My face is kind of has like a jagged scar down it. And I'm wearing gloves, which you can't tell is underneath the gloves. Like on my left hand, 2 of my fingers have been taken down by 2 knuckles, but the gloves are padded, so you can't see this.
And I look like Heath Ledger. Yeah, exactly. I just put a Pinterest link, but so you could kind of visualize what the Carolinian wear looks like. But yeah, it's like a long black robe with the white swath of cloth around the neck that hangs low and billows in the wind.
Mm-hmm. And so there's people thronging, and you can hear them just kind of at a low rumble. And you can see kind of why they've gathered here. I have baskets full of loaves of bread that are fixed here. They're big baskets, and you would tip them over the edge, and they would still be linked with a chain. And I look down at them, and I look at you, and I say, I don't know why we bother. They're practically dead already. Should we show them mercy, priest? Or do you not deal with the living, and you only deal with the dead?
I show everything mercy, including the dead.
Very good, then. Let's show these mercy. And
so the mercy is prolonging their life.
I don't know what I just did, but it just flipped to a different card. I was trying to reveal it, and it changed.
Oh yeah, I don't see anything revealed.
Yeah, I don't see anything revealed.
Double clicking it's like re-rolling dice. It'll redraw the card.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well,
just roll with it for now. All you gotta do is click it once, and then click reveal selected. Click it until it's red, and then click reveal selected.
I'll click reveal selected and just tell you what it was supposed to be.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Reveal selected. Did that? There. It's supposed to be a 9 of clubs, and
okay.
you see me.
I see a jack of diamonds.
yeah. You see a jack of diamonds. It's supposed to be a 9 of clubs.
Yeah.
You see me tip one of the baskets over, and all the people start to fight over it. and start to just like savage one another to try and get at this bread until like it's just a pile of corpses and a few people eating this bloody bread. And I look over at you and I see if you're going to tip the other basket over.
Oh, okay. Rough. Okay, it was a 9 of clubs.
Yep.
So I could play a 10 of clubs and win it, but it would have to be
a violent outcome. Yeah, but you somehow get the upper hand, right?
Jeez, I don't know how that would go.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, yeah, it's a tricky thing.
I think I'll do that. I'll play the 9 of clubs. Reveal select. Where's that? Did I do it?
Yep, I see it there.
Okay, so I think what he does is, how far up are we anyway?
We're at the top of this tower, so pretty high up.
Okay. Does it make sense that I'd be able to go down there with the bread and then pull them off of each other forcefully? Especially since they're like, I'm picturing them all pretty weak anyway, right? Like they're emaciated and starving and stuff, right? And
yeah, I think that makes sense. You use violence to save them. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and before I leave, I say that some people need to be forced into seeing what is good for them, and then I go down and I like rip them apart from each other, and then I give the bread to each of them separately. But I also like watch and make sure that they are like being good to one another, even though some are dead, apparently.
Yeah. I think it gets like really, really quiet as you're like throwing them off of each other, and I'm just watching down from the top of the tower.
Yeah.
Shaking my head.
So I get your card, a 9 of clubs?
No, David gets it because you played the higher one. So,
right, so he gets a 10 of clubs.
Yeah, he marks down 10 of clubs. Yep.
And then how do you delete a card?
I'll take care of all the deletions. You guys don't have to worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okie doke. Very good. That was very gruesome, by the way. All right, Mordio.
So this is also aimed at Barl there. Why not? And as you're I think maybe back in your room, like cleaning up some from dealing with these bloody people and their bloody bread, as there'll be like a knock on the door, and as you open it, servants will come in, and they're carrying, the first couple are carrying like long sort of brightly colored silk festoons, and there's ones that have like just piles of rugs and extra bedding and all sorts of stuff, as Mordio will follow them in. Oh, dang it, I did it too. I was trying to select it and I double clicked and re-rolled a card.
What was it supposed to be?
It's that, but it's not that. It's a 10 of diamonds. As I say, oh, you're here. Good. There was an accident where some of the feast hall's silks got dropped in some water. It was very unfortunate. It's this, so you can smell, it's this sort of overwhelming lavender scent. It's very, very ostentatious. I don't agree with it, but they needed somewhere to dry them out, and of course now there are extra servants staying in all of the linen closets, so we needed somewhere for these rugs to go, and all of these extra pillows, and I knew you wouldn't mind just keeping an eye on them here. It's kind of you to take all of this in, as he's just making this room like sumptuous and amazing and gorgeously decorated, and I think also taking the door off.
Taking the door off? Weird.
That's not creepy.
Yeah.
We need this for other people somewhere else.
Someone else needs this door.
Right. So it's like a veiled threat as well, kind of.
Yeah, it's sort of a jab at your station and position because it's putting you in this. It's sort of a threat of like the door is gone for security reasons, but also you can't hide from any passersby that you're living in this like decked out, awesome, besilked room.
Okay. Okay. So
I'll get you with gorgeous things.
yeah, rough day for Fraser. Okay. I'm going to play the 2 of spades, which means I just succumb to it, right? I essentially throw that card. Is that
Except
succumb
it's
to-
a mixed suit, so now it's open to other people.
Yeah, we can help you.
yeah, which was my plan. Okay, so reveal selected.
Yeah, there it is. And now, if we want to help you, we have to play a spade. We can't. That it has to be a spade. And I'd be the first to decide here. So, I will pass. I'm not going to do that. Kevin.
I will play a spade.
Oh. And
Okay.
would that then open you to jumping back in, Jason?
Yes, I can now try to help you, right? Because except if it'll help, because you'll be tied at 2 cards each. If I play, what'd you play?
A 10 of diamonds.
If I play a diamond, spades is trumps over diamonds, so there's no point. So, because it would go to the trumps once there's 2 cards on each side. So yeah,
Gotcha.
spades win. So basically, now you have to decide how plague and or despair get you out of this situation. Barl.
Maybe it's that I say, though I would like to succumb to your teachings, master, without a door, I am sure that the plague would find me here in this room, and surely you don't wish me dead. Isn't that so?
Oh, yes, there are witnesses. I suppose. No, I don't wish you dead. That obviously our order is depleted enough.
I guess while you're going, you can take your lavender throw pillows with you.
Nice. Good. So now you will keep a or Archbishop, you'll keep a 8 of spades, right? Or whatever the 3 of spades. 3 of spades is what you're keeping.
Okay, so I get the highest from the other side.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't know why that matters, because at the end the values don't matter, but who knows? That's what the rules say. So just note that. And now it goes to Barl for your first round. Who will you be targeting?
I think, let's see, spades is plague and despair.
And I'll get rid of these cards here.
And what were the ones that introduce NPCs again?
Face cards.
Okay.
You can do an NPC after this round. You can do an NPC anyway. Just a face card has to be. So.
Right. Okay. Is there any strategy in? I guess the strategy component for playing your cards is you want to. Well, I guess you wouldn't know yet, but you want to potentially use your cards to make other people lose, so you would counteract what they're getting from other people.
I guess that's one way of looking at it. I'm just going based off what I think would be a cool scene. So
yeah, probably
because we don't have a lot of information yet, anyway, right? So
right. Okay, I think that I will play the 4 of spades against. I think I'll play it against Archduke Philip, and picture it as this night. I come to you, like knock on your door, and I mostly want to see how you are living as well, especially after seeing the weird ostentatious display of the stuff that I was potentially going to get but didn't.
Yeah, I think a servant opens the door.
Mm. And as I walk in, I'm like addressing you, but walking around the room trying to survey it like I'm discerning realities right now.
Yeah, I think in the room you're going to see. You came at night, you said, or like an evening, or when did you come?
Yeah, like as everybody's winding down, like maybe there's servants extinguishing candles in the hallways and stuff.
My room is very like I think it's like tastefully rich, right? I get the feeling that like the archbishop is like, like I think he's feeling a little bit more like up jumped or whatever, right? Whereas for me it's more about like tasteful old money kind of like luxury, right? So dark rich woods, very very like muted color tapestries and curtains, right? But expensive materials, right? And I think you'll find me, I think I'm at my table going over some ledgers, and you're presented to me, I think, by my servant. And I say, I didn't catch your name, brother. What is it?
It's Barl the Devote.
Very nice. Excellent. You seem a bit young to be in the priesthood. Young and fit, healthy. I'm surprised you didn't take up the sword.
Oh, I wouldn't say I'm inexperienced with the sword either. I just choose love.
Oh, excellent. What's the spade aspect here? What's the despair? What's going on?
I wanted to tell you the story of my youth, the one that I like flashbacked on kind of thing when I was a kid.
Yeah, we can keep that going, yeah. I'll say, well, would you like to have a seat? I'm just finishing up some paperwork here, some business.
Mm-hmm. And maybe there's some like apples on the table and I idly chew on one, and I address you and I say, as I came in, I saw a pyre of burning bodies. Lord Mordio's work, no doubt.
Yes, no doubt. They're grim times we live in. I'm just like, I'm listening to you and talking to you, but I'm looking at my ledger with my big feather quill doing my business.
Right. When I was a boy, I saw a similar sight, except it was years ago when the church decided to burn the heretics. It was a similar sort of cleansing, and I was but a boy, but I remember that smell all the same, and it smelled just like today. A curious thing, though, after the heretics were burned, the townsfolk did no better than they were before. In fact, some of the lords and the manses fell from the revolts of the peasants that day. I guess they didn't find the Lord in their hearts at all.
And I look up at you and I say, is this going somewhere, brother?
Well, the idea was to make you feel bad. Yeah, like the despair was that like maybe this would happen to my keep too.
Right, yeah, no, I got it. Yeah. I'm going to play in response to you, I'm going to play this. It's an ace of diamonds, which against your card is low, so you win. Would anybody like to help me just before I go there?
So I
will not.
No. What about you, Mordio?
Does that mean they have to help you with diamonds?
They have to help me with the diamond, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're a bit more resilient than all that. You've eaten well today. You feel up for anything.
Indeed. Yeah. Indeed.
Would you say you're flush?
David, your card will help if you wish to, because yours will be, you'll tie us a bit, but spades trump. So.
No.
Yeah. I say, yes, well, My castle is the largest in the land, Brother Barrow. I've spent a lot of money on the walls. They are quite thick, and my people are very, very loyal to me. I have a feeling that we will be able to ride this out. I have a feeling that at the end of the day, money talks, you know? Even people who come with their piety and their heresies and this and their that, I find there's no problem that can't be solved by big, thick, sturdy walls and glimmering gold coin. You catch my drift?
I think I do, Lord. And I think as I kind of take that as like a dismissal. But before I leave, I say, before my mother burned alive, she gave me my name, of course. And Bari is originally
Borrow or
to be
Bari?
like, well, I'll tie it in. Bari means to be like naive and innocent, and I'm not quite that. So my name is Barl instead, and then I leave into the.
As you're leaving, I
hall.
say, it's good to hear you're not so innocent.
I like
Barl.
that. It's a good end.
Yeah, I'll let you go there. So you will take a 4 of diamonds. Or
Is
no,
that
yeah, because I won. Who won? I won, right? So you
Yeah.
4 diamonds.
so? How do you choose between the ace and the 4 there, since the ace could be high?
Oh, in this instance, it was low. So
Oh, okay, so if it had gone out with face cards and been high, that gotcha. Cool.
all right. So note that 4 of diamonds.
I almost had you.
And
Mordio.
Awesome. So it's my scene again. Who do I want to target? I'm going to target Ruthless Knox. And Archduke Philip, are not going to be in the scene. There's going to be someone else. And in fact, it's going to be the person represented by this Queen of Hearts. Ruthless Knox, the scene is going to be, you've caught some kind of spy or traitor, and you're like beating the shit out of them in the dungeon, right? Like just torturing the fuck out of them, whatever you do, however you do it. I think we can hear their screams and cries. What's this traitor alleged to have done? What's this spy alleged to have done?
They have they've just been giving food. Like, it's just like a serving person. They've just been giving food out, like, without permission.
And one of your men comes from the outside, somebody who's standing guard at the door, and says, sir, and, like, are you covered in blood and shit? Like, what do you look like right now?
No, I'm very fastidious about how I do my dealings. And I've actually made a little notation on my thing. People in my order fall under these ranks. Ruthless is the top rank. Like, that's not my name. That's my rank. Fell is immediately below that, and Callous is the lowest.
Okay, so I think this is like Callous John, right?
Yeah.
And Callous John comes in and he says, sir, he looks really like nervous and uncomfortable. He says, Lady Jessalyn is outside. Lady Jessalyn is, I think, Archduke Philip's daughter.
Okay. Well, then, I suppose I better see her. You can wait for me, can't you? I look back to the serving person who had been giving out food. You know, ironically, I've been giving out food too, but
right, yeah.
It's not important. But there is a
You're
little,
allowed to.
Yeah, I can do what I want. There's a tray of various sized hammers, and you can tell that they're very swollen in places, and like what's been happening in here is breaking bones without breaking skin.
Lady Jessalyn, I think she's very pretty. I think she's young. I think she has like kind of fiery red hair, and she's dressed in like a elegant, like her father, very like tasteful but expensive and elegant gown. And she says, "Oh, Knox, I was down here. I was down here speaking to my lady's maid, and I heard the screaming, and I just came to check in and find out what's happening. It sounded just dreadful."
Oh, I'm sorry to distress my lady with the screaming of the unfortunates who fall under the Archduke's scrutiny.
This person, this unfortunate, but what did they do to earn your dark attention? So,
They have been breaking rules here among the keep.
rules? What rules? What sort of rules? What sort of rules would cause you to cause them to scream like that?
And
what?
I think I put a hand on her arm, and it's nothing that you need to concern yourself with. This is why your father has me.
And then she kind of puts her hands on your shoulder, one on your cheek, and she says, "Knox, I know you don't see it, but I see it. You're better than this. This is such a dark time we live in. Why would you want to bring more darkness into the world? Let this, at least for these weeks and months, let this be a happy time. Let this be a pleasant time. Surely you have that inside you. Surely you can understand that the business you do it's not good for the soul." What's your defense?
I'm guessing this is your move.
Oh yeah, it's hearts, Queen of Hearts. Yeah,
yeah, Queen of Hearts. Yeah, I don't have anything that can beat that, so I'll put this two of diamonds out there.
Let's see who wants to help. It'll start with
If anyone wants
Patrick.
to help.
Yeah, Patrick, do you want to help?
Sorry, I was muted. No.
Fraser.
So it has to be a diamond now,
Has to be a
right?
diamond, yeah.
Yeah, I'll help with
So basically, we're not
5
going to
of
reach.
diamonds.
Well, then, Patrick, do you want to help me? Because I think
If you put a heart out there, it will beat.
heart will be. Yeah, if you put a heart out there, Patrick, we will win. So
It's true.
No, I'm gonna hold.
okay. So what's your defense? How do you like this very nice person? How do you
Wealth in excess.
show me about your hard heart?
Yeah, I just start leading her down the hall, and I snap for Callous John to like go take care of the rest of what's in there, and I'm just talking with her, and I'm like, my lady, you know your father has built this castle so that it will be nigh impregnable, but this one was risking us all. This one was risking us all by opening the doors. This cannot be stood for. We must teach them a lesson. But the good thing about thick walls is you go far enough and you need not hear what the scrutiny does on behalf of land. And I lead her, through several more thick doors, and I lead her kind of back into
past chattering servants, past other things,
past all this other stuff. She can't hear it anymore, and I deposit her into like a big gallery room where there's like lovely paintings, and like there's servants that are like just standing by to play music.
This is so fucking condescending, and I love it.
Yeah, like there's servants standing by to just like play music whenever somebody important comes in. I just give them a look and they start playing.
Nice. Okay, good. Yeah. So yeah. I'm taking that card. Right. What did you play, Fraser? I don't see your card on the table.
I think he played the 5 of diamonds.
Yeah, I had it revealed. It might be behind something.
Oh yeah, maybe I don't see it. In any case, all right. So I'm taking a 5 of diamonds.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it now.
I moved it. Yeah.
All right.
So the main reason I did that is because I wanted you to have more diamonds.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean that's the strategy. So
yeah, but what have I done? No.
it might be my fate. So, which case you're helping me, right? Thank you, Fraser. I'm gonna delete these. Okay, good. That's a good scene. who would go next? Well, you're next, David.
Yeah.
Who do you want to target?
I am going to target.
And just so you guys know, I put a little list of NPCs. I have Lady Jesselyn over here.
Nice. I'm going to target Mordio.
All right.
And I'm trying to come up with a name because I have a face card.
Well, what are they?
It is a queen of diamonds.
Mm. Okay.
Male or female?
Well, that's the card. So
He was asking like, what's the character? Is it a man or a woman?
I think it's going to be a woman.
Okay. And who is she?
So queens can be like what level of rank?
They're like advisors, viziers, the power behind the throne. Right?
Okay.
In the case of my queen, I put the daughter because I thought she probably had like a lot of influence with her dad, right? So.
Right. This is a second daughter of the Archduke.
Okay.
Her name is Diana.
Okay.
And you are walking about the castle, and you hear just like laughter, like giggling, coming from down a corridor, and it keeps getting like louder and louder, and like it seems like it's a raucous good time, whatever's going on where this person's laughing. So I suspect you'll follow it. Yeah.
It sounds like somewhere where I might be able to get or leverage something nice, and also like very ostentatiously interrupt people's fun. That's always nice.
Right.
2 birds with 1 stone, right?
There you go. And you come upon a storage room that is it's down some stairs, and it's the storage room for the casks. What do you call that room? Where you keep all the wine.
That's wine cellar. Or?
A wine cellar. Yeah, it's a wine cellar. And down here is this this young lady, not like a child, but a young lady. And she is dressed in her finery. She has like oddly like a really nice like lounge chair has been brought down here, like an overstuffed lounge chair. And she is sitting on it delicately, and there are like minstrels, and they're performing a show, and she has a cask that is tapped, that is right next to her, and she just keeps filling her cup and drinking it. And then she sees you, and she waves everyone off to to stop what their tomfoolery is, as she's like getting her breath back from a particularly good laugh. Her cheeks are red. She's lovely. And she sees you in your austere vestments. She says, "Who are you? I don't remember you being part of my father's servants."
I am the voice for caution. I am the voice for the future. In these times, we should respect the virtues of cleanliness and preservation. And you wallow and waste here in the middle of fine stores that can keep people going and keep their minds sane for months and years to come. I am the Archbishop, and you, what are you doing here?
Clearly, you don't understand the purpose of good wine. It's not to keep people sane. It's to make people giddy. Come on, have some. It's lovely. And I assure you, we're not going to run out anytime soon. She is basically inviting you to enjoy this with her. And she claps her hands, and servants come running from behind you carrying another chair.
All right. What are you playing?
That's the Queen of Diamonds.
Oh, fuck. Nah, he's real easy to tempt. So 7 of diamonds.
And that locks everyone else out from bidding. So that's your it's your outcome. You're taking the queen.
As Mordio sits down and says, well, this cask is obviously contaminated already, and I wouldn't want to spread the chance of infection too far. So in the interest of keeping potentially tainted wine out of the lips of the more important, I think I should help you in disposing of it.
Yes, yes. We can't stop till it's all empty. Continue the show.
Do you know any good dirges? I'll say over the musicians.
Nice.
Celebrate with a dirge. God,
I need a
character is such a creep. I love him.
a dirge that's really gonna make me kick my heels.
It's so perfect, right? Like he's gonna indulge, but only if we play a dirge, right? Good. I love it. All right, well, Mordio, or Patrick, it's your go. Oh, and you're going to be keeping the
Queen of Diamonds.
Yeah, the Queen of Diamonds.
All right. So I am going to target Archduke Philip. As I think you wake up the next morning, and do you eat in your rooms, or do you go down for like some sort of breakfast in the public hall? Or
I think we do the tradition of like lords serve themselves breakfast, right? I learned that from Downton Abbey. We were served in every other way, but breakfast we go down. It's all laid out on a buffet, and we serve ourselves.
So I think you go down for breakfast, and like the buffet is sort of sparse and doesn't have some of the particular dishes that you've always demanded be there for breakfast. And like you taste your eggs, and they're sort of runny and not in the way that you'd like. And I think you call for like a butler or something to come over and explain what's going on here.
Yeah, I say we'll call this character Edwards.
All right,
Edwards. Maybe we can even use a similar naming scheme as the Scrutinies. Maybe like we could call him maybe like the servants are either head, hand, or foot, right? Head
Nice.
is like the advisor types. Hand is like hand is like a middle level servant, and foot is like the lowest, right? So I think Edwards would be like a hand Edwards.
right.
And Edwards, this breakfast spread is a little wanting. I'd say, is that like pour out runny eggs from a spoon?
Yes, Your Grace. I'm very sorry. The head butler was to have spoken to you. Has he not? He obviously hasn't. No, or else you wouldn't be asking. It's sir. You see, it's down in the kitchen. It's the chef, the head chef, Brantz. Well, sir, he's taken ill this morning. He didn't show up for his shift this morning, and he seems to be showing signs of infection, sir.
Are you telling me the person who prepares my food has been struck with plague?
Sir, I hadn't heard whether it is the plague or not, but Brantz
It's
claims
preposterous. He's not dead yet, so he can still make a fucking egg the way it's supposed to be made.
Yes, sir. Well, the doctors are looking over him to make sure that he hasn't. Well, you know, the contamination, sir.
Can he still walk? Do his hands still work? This is ridiculous. If we just let things fall apart because because one servant or over here or another person, a scullery maid over there, gets a little cough. I mean, I've got a reputation to maintain, Hand Edwards. What's your card that you're playing, by the way?
Say Jack of Spades.
Jack of Spades. Ah, good. I'm tired of these excuses. This is ridiculous. I'm responding with an ace of clubs.
Ooh, shit.
Which is high here. And I just kind of step up to you and I say, I don't know what happened to Brents. I do know what happened to my ex. And you know, Hand Edwards, that I don't like excuses.
No,
Is anyone
of course
contributing cards?
Yeah, I want to know who's going to help here. First crack at it is you, David.
I don't think so.
Barl or Fraser, are you going to help?
No, I don't think so.
Listen to me, Hand Edwards. I don't like not getting what I believe is owed to me. I don't like when people fail. I especially don't like to hear excuses. And all I can think about right now is how much I want to hurt someone because of this lapse.
Of course, Your Grace. I could go tell them the eggs, more eggs, better eggs.
No. And then I think there's a bunch of other people that gathered around, right? Like men, women, other people, right? And I say, get on your hands and knees, please.
Your Grace?
Don't make me repeat myself, Edwards.
Of course not. I'm sorry. As he gets down,
and I just snap my fingers. I don't even have to like look or make any kind of other like indication. And a soldier or a guard just steps up with like a big whip, and I just proceed to beat the crap out of Edwards in front of all these people. Right. I just beat him, and I just beat him until he's like screaming and flailing around. And then once I've got that out of my system, they drag you away, and I say. And I turn to one of the scrutinies or whoever's around, and I say, the chef has plague. Make sure you toss him over the wall, or toss him on the other side of the walls. see if Lady Winthrop's chef came with her. We'll install him instead.
Wow.
Nice.
I love that the person who prepares all of the food for everyone having the plague was not even on your list of concerns.
Well, I was also thinking like maybe they don't understand the science of it, you know?
Yeah, no one understands germ theory yet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, he was not worried about that. He was worried about like, well, he can still work, right?
No, it was amazing.
But you get an ace of clubs. Yeah. All right, let's clear those cards. And
Jesus, I have so many cards.
Who are you going to target?
It's me, right?
Yep.
I'm going to target, let's see. I'll go with Ruthless Knox. And I think, it's taking place at the same time as when the Edwards is being beaten, except I think that you're still in bed sleeping because you stayed up late, maybe. But you have like a vision and overtoned with like, in the movie that this is, there's the wailing of Edwards, and then it cuts back to your dream, and it has like a whatever deity of that we have going on with the priesthood. We'll just go with like the typical Jesus stuff going on. But I want to play a 7 of hearts, so this will make sense. But I think you're overcome with a vision of like hope and happiness from this deity directly, and it is like forgiveness directly for like beating that man yesterday or whenever that happened.
Touched by an angel.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Free
So-
forgiveness. Why wouldn't you want that?
Like, could you just like nail it down a little bit more so I understand exactly like what's happening in the dream?
Maybe to make it more on point, then maybe it is the exact same scene of you beating that man, except the lady, was it Diana or
Jesselyn was the
Jesselyn.
Yeah, Jesselyn.
non-lush. Yeah.
yeah, instead of Jesselyn coming in, it's like her figure, but with like, you know, a crown of thorns and light from behind shining into the room. And maybe she says like, forgiveness is here. All you need to do is touch my hand, child.
Hmm.
So you'd have to stop beating the man and touch her hand for it, I suppose, and choose it.
Interesting. And what card was played?
It is a 9 of hearts, 7 of hearts.
7 of hearts. Okay. I will play the 9 of spades. And so I think what happens here is I'm just looking at this person as they're like offering out forgiveness to me.
Yeah.
And they start to like wither as if they have plague. And
Well, if nobody helps, right?
well, yeah, if nobody helps, anyone gonna help?
Doesn't somebody want some forgiveness?
I will, actually.
Oh.
I will.
Okay.
I will reveal a 2 of hearts to add to the heart pile.
All right. And Mordo, if you want to play a spade, we win here. I think you're muted.
Yeah. we
Oh,
can
sorry.
do another thing.
Yeah.
I think Nox is a heartless fuck.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So you're playing?
You get your grim ending, your grim bad dream. So,
Oh boy. So you played a spade?
he did.
Yeah, I played that 7 of spades.
Okay, great. Yeah, so this figure just starts to wither with plague. And I'm like looking at them as they're withering, and it is as I suspected. There is no accounting for in the end of things. And I turn back to my torturing.
Nice.
And then maybe you wake up to the Edward being beaten and wailing. Hey.
I wake up to somebody waking me up, telling me I need
Like
to
a
get rid of
songbird.
I wake up to somebody like knocking on the door, and they're like, "You need to get rid of that chef. He's got the plague."
Yeah.
So you get a 9 of spades to add to your thing, Parl. Awesome. Let's take a quick break. I played a bunch of Splatoon, just turf wars the other day, and I think I won like 8 out of the 10 matches I played in. I was in 8 of the winning teams.
Nice.
I was feeling really good. Yeah, so I was feeling super on point. Like I was just dashing in the middle of motherfuckers and like killing like 2 or 3 at a time. Like if I was and I was the top person on my team, like basically every time, even when we lost. So yeah.
Nice.
I need to boot that up again.
Yeah, I'd like to play it some more.
Is there a salmon run right now?
I don't know if there is tonight or not. If there is tonight, we should get on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. It's my turn to frame, right? Or to target.
Yeah. Also, I think Nox is my Joffrey. I hate you.
All right. Let's see here. Wait, Nox or the Archduke? Which one?
I think Nox more so. Just because he turned away Jesus so vehemently. You could have done it in secret. It was a fucking dream, and he still didn't even want it. Couldn't even secretly want absolution.
Good. I'm going to target Barl. And since we've already established a precedent of you visiting me in my chambers at night, I summon you to my chambers. It's fairly late. Maybe like the time when most people are asleep or in bed. And when you arrive, you see me. I'm laying in my bed. I think it's like a grand 4-poster bed, right, with like that stuff, right? And I'm laying in bed. And I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, or I'm basically undressed. Like you just see my body, like fit, kind of fit, muscular body, and a little bit of chest hair action, right? And I think I have just like a sheet, like just strategically draped over my midsection, right? When you come in, and I say, Brother Barl, thank you for answering my summons. Please have a seat. And I bid you to sit down in a little chair next to my bed.
Okay. I do so.
Several days ago at breakfast, I lost my temper and I beat a servant, Edwards, terribly. I'm sure you heard about it.
Oh, I'm sure not a soul in the castle did not.
Yes, well, I sometimes let my wrath get the best of me. It is something I've had to deal with all of my life. It is something of a burden to be given everything from a young age. One has to reach really deep down to find their best character when you grow up most of your life, not even knowing the definition of the word no. I feel very, very guilty. I feel the need to confess, to unburden myself. And your master, the Archbishop, is not a redeemable character. You seem virtuous and pure, like my words will be heard, like you can provide genuine absolution.
It is not within me to not grant absolution to anyone, but we might as well do this properly. And I undo the knot so that one of the canopy drops, so that there's like that line between us.
Mm-hmm. And I laugh a little bit, right? Because I feel like we're playing a cat and mouse here. Like you kind of like, you know what I'm doing, and you're responding, right? I'm gonna play my card though, and no, I'm gonna play this card instead. I made a choice, but I'm gonna change my choice because I'm gonna play diamonds, because diamonds are not just wealth; it can be vice and excess and corruption, right? I say, no, 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 I don't think you understand what I mean. And I like pull the curtain back to like so you can see me. And I have like a cat o' nine tails, right? Like nothing so serious as the whip that I beat Edwards with, but it's a little cat o' nine tails, and I hand it to you, and I kind of like, and I get on my hands and knees in bed, and the sheet falls off of me, and I say, I think eye for an eye. That's in the Bible, right? I think I deserve to be punished.
Ooh, risque. Okay, so the way that I'm understanding this is if I play even a smaller card of a higher trump, then I win.
No, if you play a smaller, you have to beat my card right now if you don't want to succumb to this.
So higher than 8
Mhm.
of any suite.
Of any suit, yeah.
Okay. And I don't know how to ask this without revealing what my hand is. What's the
Well,
hierarchy above 8?
Oh, it's 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King.
And clubs, then spades, then hearts, then diamonds, if you're asking that.
Yeah, basically any other 8 will beat that 8.
Yeah. This is the lowest 8. You can play an equal 8 if you want.
Okay.
Because diamond's the lowest 8.
I have an idea.
Or you can succumb and
Yeah.
do some kinky shit with the Archduke.
I'm gonna play the King of Hearts then to beat it.
Wow.
That means a person has to come in and
Yeah.
save your
Introduce an
rating.
NPC. Oh
A
my
powerful
god.
person, right?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Is it too? Does it have to be like an actual person, or could it be like a divine presence within me?
It can't be God. It has to be a powerful individual, like a king, a prince, a lord. Another one of the bigwig guests dedicated to hope and love has to come in and save you from this moment. I want to know what this looks like if you play that.
Yeah, let's make sure like we resolve any like other intervening plays before we.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna play that card, fine. We'll still see if we get any help from anybody else. But
Oh yeah.
Who's first?
yeah. So what are you gonna play?
Yeah, well, I might as well play it now that you guys know I have it, right?
Play the King of Hearts. Okay.
Yeah.
Patrick, you intervening on Jason's behalf? Archduke Phillips.
Any diamond will do, Patrick. No,
I'm afraid I'm out of this one. Nope.
Oh man.
Any diamond will do, David.
I know. This is it's tantalizing.
Oh yeah, you know it is.
Oh, jeez. All right, I reveal the 3 of diamonds.
Ah.
I still want that NPC in play though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're going to see that NPC no matter what because you still have to narrate your move, right? Patrick, it could be a 3-way orgy if you just stand down right now. For Well, so who will you be introducing? Who's this character, Barl? Because that might affect Patrick's decision.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Who's this powerful character that gets involved and comes into my quarters?
It has to be a powerful character that is a part of like my sect. Or
No. It's just some rich, powerful person who's staying at the mansion.
Represents hope.
Okay, it doesn't have to be a
like
rich,
that.
powerful person in relation to who my character is.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And hope and love has to be like how they save you. Like, what is that going to look like?
Yeah.
But they're not saving you.
Yeah, but they end up not saving me.
And
They just attempt to do that.
So we should know who it is, I think, is the main thing here.
Okay, maybe in such a huge mansion, I think there's like at least a like a chapel with their own priest there,
Okay, sure.
and I think it will be.
Is it the Pope? Does the Pope come in?
No, but like I want to subvert that a little bit and say that it's like the hierarchy is a priestess,
Okay.
and she maybe Clarissa or something.
Okay.
Or maybe now Cadence. We'll just call her Cadence.
Okay.
I like that name a lot lately. So I think Cadence comes in and perhaps because since she's been in this mansion a lot, that this is probably not the first time you've tried to do this, and probably the more innocent the person, the more.
Oh, so she's coming to rescue you, right?
Exactly.
Like she knows
yeah.
what you're up to, or what I'm up to, and she's coming to rescue you. I like that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't fuck with her because she's a big deal in the church. That
Exactly. Yeah. And when we're gone, she's still there and has to be contended with as well, right?
Yeah.
So I actually believe that the Archduke has been a very naughty noble and deserves to be spanked.
Good.
So I'm gonna stay out of things.
Good.
Oh no!
So Matron Cadence comes in, and she sees me on all fours, like I've handed you this whip. I think you're standing there looking like a little uncomfortable, right? And she comes in, and I think she's just in shock. Like I think she's completely in shock. And like I get down off the bed and I walk over to her, whoever wants to play Cadence.
I'll go.
I say, and I'm naked. I'm stark naked. Like I just walk like stark naked up to Matron Cadence, and I say, I know this looks very strange, sister, but you need to understand that I feel terrible guilt right now, and I have asked this priest to help me find penance in the ancient way.
Your Grace, there are approved methods for cleansing your sins of the flesh.
I say, Matron, and like I say, and I think I step like close to you, and like I put my hand on your cheek, and like I think I'm like poking you with my erection. And I like take your cheek, and I'm like poking you with my erection. I'm like Matron, and I'm a very handsome man, don't forget. I say, I feel that once I've gotten this demon out of my system, once it's been beaten out of me, I will be able to resume my liturgical studies with you in private. Wouldn't you like that?
Once you've been purged of these unnatural urges.
Yes, precisely. And then I'm like, oh, I'm immodest. Forgive me. And I reach for a robe and wrap it around
I
me.
hadn't looked.
Sorry. You do understand, though, that this is the right thing to do for my spirit.
Yes, you are our protector in this trying time, and the people, they need their protector strong and clear-headed. Obviously, this is yes.
Very good.
Yes.
And I'm still rocking a diamond, so I might be like, excellent. Those renovations to the chapel you've been asking about. I know I've set aside most of our funds for the troubling times we're in, but I can probably find something to fix the altar and repair the archway.
That would go a long way towards healing the spirit of the people, make them feel filled up with God's light.
Yes, yes. And as we're saying this, I'm just shuffling you out of the room.
Oh, that's funny.
And I
Jeez.
turn the door, and I turn and I face Barl, and I drop my robe, and I say, I'm ready for my punishment. And I think that's scene, and you do it because you lost. I do want to know how you feel though, because you're succumbing technically. Like, how do you feel about doing this?
I think I was thinking about this. I think it would be interesting if like the reason why he succumbs, even in part, is that probably before his mother was burnt at the stake, she was also flayed, right? So like he's transposing you with like his mother and like the hate and the fear and the
mommy
pain of all that.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming back.
And also, David, just so you know, I was gonna make it so that we still have sex, but it's like instead of fucking, it was love. So that's what you ruined.
Now it's just this hardcore, like.
It's all about the debauchery. You don't get to. Yeah. There is no.
We
love.
went the opposite.
Nice.
Yeah. This movie is very dark.
That feels like scene. I don't. First, I don't see your cards appearing. Are you getting rid of those somehow, or?
I see it there.
I moved it
aside.
aside.
Never mind. I had to refresh. That's all.
Oh, okay. I moved it aside and everything. So.
So you're taking a King of Diamonds, it turns out.
King of Diamonds.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That's a good scene. Intense. Ruthless Knox or David.
Nice. I am going to have a scene with Archduke Philip, and my character, Ruthless Knox, will be in the scene. And we're on top of the tower, same tower that I've described previously. And it's very, very quiet. It's early in the morning, and I have like sent people to rouse you, and that only happens if I'm like very concerned with something. And we're up here, and we have like freshly baked bread. You can still feel the heat coming off of it as the servants have prepared it. And I'm like, my lord, my liege, is there something that we should be concerned about? It's most unusual, and I do not know whether I should commence with the daily disbursement. And we look out over the wall, and there are nothing but silent children waiting below. And I am going to reveal a 9 of hearts.
I look down at them. And I say, they look malnourished, don't they?
Yes.
I see such pain in their little faces. They're not going to be long for this world, I fear. It's a cruelty to even try to prolong it.
That has always been my position, my liege.
To be clear, you're basically like trying to, your card is basically like me being, I would have to succumb to it. I would basically like help the kids, right? Take them in or whatever.
Well, or just say feed them.
Right. and we don't have limitless supplies, presumably, right? Which is kind of the deal here, or what?
Well, no, like I have
Why
this.
why wouldn't I feed them? Is what I'm asking.
Why wouldn't you? Like,
Yeah.
because they might be plague carriers and prolong this whole cycle, or just because you're a cruel person.
Yeah. I think the plague carrier is a good thing. I've heard a rumor that the plague is carried by rats and children.
I'm familiar with this.
Do you hold it true? Do you believe this is true?
The youths, they are so much stronger. They can continue to carry this though they be dead inside for much, much longer than the elderly.
That one there, I point at one of the kids, and that one there, I see sores on their arms, don't you?
Like looking down, like I don't even look. I don't even look. Yes.
It is a mercy to end their suffering, and it would be the best outcome for our people if we don't have such as them spreading the plague, don't you think?
Absolutely.
And we would be, I'm revealing my card here, we would take care of rats carrying the plague rather expeditiously, wouldn't we?
The means are already prepared, my lord.
Make it quick. Fast blows. Don't let them see it coming. You understand? Unless somebody wants to.
Of course. Do we have anyone interviewing?
So let's see.
You have to play heart, basically, if you want to help.
Yeah.
No.
Because club is high. Or club is trump.
So
If you don't do it, I have the most awful outcome already
I
planned.
bet he does. It's kind of your
so
Save the children! Save the children!
I think
No.
I think despite his best efforts, the Duke, he actually felt some lightning and salvation from his semi-erotic torture session.
Yes.
And sees a child
half religious,
that
half erotic, to be
Yeah.
fair.
and I think you see a child that reminds you of one of your younger siblings or family member or
good.
something.
Reminds you of your daughters.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see two girls together.
Two girls together. That's good. Like holding each other like sisters. Yeah. that's
Yeah.
good. Do you play that part?
Anyone, Fraser? You gonna turn this the other way?
Throw a club on it.
Club will win it.
No, I don't think I want.
I see the two little girls, and I and as soon as you're going to move, Knox, I say, stay your hand, Knox. One moment. And I see those two girls, and they're like holding each other, and I say, I will consult the physicians to find out if there's any truth to this rumor of children spreading the plague. In the meantime, the people need to see their lord. Give me the bread. I will disperse it to them myself.
Are you certain, my liege? We can drop it down and be done.
Ruthless Knox, I don't like to be questioned.
Absolutely, my liege. And I just like wave some of the callus over, and they like carry the bread for you so you can distribute it how you wish.
I go out and I distribute the bread to the kids, right? And I give those two little girls an extra loaf. So
nice.
That's what happens when you're a twin. All the bread.
Get all the bread. Okay.
That was about to get so dark.
Archduke Philip has been redeemed. I am redeemed.
No, not even close.
What was the high heart there? I don't remember.
9.
9, yeah.
Okay. Okay. My character's story is redeemed. Yay!
Because you gave some bread.
It's all forgiven.
Ruthless Fox had some
For rich people, it's that way. You just do one nice thing, all your sins are forgiven, right? So,
yeah, just give that homeless guy $100 cash.
Yeah.
All right, Archbishop Morty, a word.
So, yeah. So I'm gonna target Ruthless Knox. As you know, the Archduke, he goes out there, he hands bread to the children. He's obviously very well guarded and doesn't really go more than a couple feet from the gate. But he's down there, and they see him handing out this bread. And I don't think the Archduke himself is going to go down and do that repeatedly. But the children have learned, like, they have an inn, and he orders that, you know, some of the guards open the gates and give the bread to the children once a day or something like that. And I think there are some like militia townsfolk who hide amongst the children. When the gates are open, they sort of reveal themselves and rush the gate guards, try and beat them down and make their way into the castle where they'll be safe. And I'm going to reveal Jack of Clubs.
This is the local militia.
Yeah, I think there's like a say a blacksmith who's sort of gathered up a couple of stronger young men to make this rush and like get their families in. Nice.
Okay, so to be clear, like, you're saying I must respond with violence unless I can beat that?
Yeah, succumb to the violence, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it could be you get beat up, right? I mean,
yeah. And I think it's I think it's also a broader thing of they're like savaging our defenses. There's now a chink in our ability to hold people out and keep this place safe.
Interesting.
Viva Revolution.
I thought about the Archduke with this one, but it is also, I think, your job to handle these sort of matters. Uh-oh.
Did we lose David? David, can you hear us?
What delightful timing.
We'll give him a sec. I think did he just ding us?
Yeah, he said his computer just flipped out.
Okay. We can give him a minute.
Looks intense. Oh, there you go. He's back on his phone.
Yeah, my computer flipped out.
And you look like an alien.
You're very blue.
Yeah, it's this lovely no signal screen.
I've got a blueberry for a daughter.
Nice.
Right, I'm resetting my computer, but
Okay, sure.
give that a second. Anyways.
What's the last
Right.
thing you heard?
I think that, well, okay, so it was either like I take this outcome where I don't know, like somehow our defenses have been breached.
Yeah,
or I
it sounds to me
respond
like
to it.
maybe like some of the guards have been savaged and whatever, right? Yeah, so it sounded like to me anyway.
Yeah.
So here's the tricky thing: since my computer has crashed, I don't know what cards I have anymore.
Oh, and I wonder if you go back into the room, will they still be there?
I don't know. We'll find out here in a moment.
Do you have Do you have eidetic memory by chance?
I don't, but I have a fair memory of what.
I think it saves
were-
everything. I'm pretty sure if you go back to that thing, it should save everything. That's what I've been told. So
Okay. Hopefully that'll be the outcome. In any case, we might just want to move on to the next scene while I get this all running
okay,
again.
all right. So
Cliffhanger this scene.
yeah. So
Smash
Morty, just
cut.
hold that thought. So Beryl, go ahead and just frame up yours.
Let's.
You can still target Morty because he wasn't in that scene, right? So.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I know what card I was spending for that.
So one thing I'm curious about, is it bad or you technically win if you have more cards, right? So the more that you lose, the more you win in the end game.
You win if the suit you have the most of at the end matches that one you chose in the beginning.
That's it. It doesn't really matter how many cards you've collected from other people.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
It just, you're looking for that suit, and that's it.
Or if when we determine the fate of the castle, we look at everybody's cards they've collected to determine the fate of the castle. If the fate of the castle matches what you chose, you also win. So.
Right. Okay.
So you either want to collect a lot of yours, or you want to make sure people are playing lots of yours.
Gotcha. Okay, I think I'm gonna frame up a scene then with the Archduke, and I think it must be sometime in between the defenses being ravaged and you feeding these girls, and it's a very simple scene. It's just that after you've fed them, you probably have some kind of pretentious riding gloves or something like that, and as you take one off, it's like got signs of the plague on it from people. And I'll
I pull it off and like my skin peels off my hand or something, like some shit like that.
Well, there's like spots or whatever, right? Because you also have to be able to refute it. So
yeah, or just wear gloves all the time, right?
Yeah. Also, when is ace high?
Only when it's played against face cards.
Okay. I'm gonna play. Oh, not that one. This one. Can you see that?
I can. 8 of spades.
Yeah. And I think that it's to do with the plague.
And I will see this. I will see that like there's evidence of do you care if we like kind of like abstract a little bit and show like a number of days, like as I try to cope with this? Is that cool?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm gonna play a 5 of hearts, and I think I've been actually I've actually been spending time in prayer with Barl, right? I think I've been like letting him minister to me and spending time in prayer, and we've been spending a lot of time together, right? Not romantic or sexual, just we have that thing that we don't talk about much, and then but otherwise, like we just spend a lot of time in prayer. And I think like I'm hoping that like if I get right with God, if I stick to this, like letting you like minister to me and like teach me, and if I begin repenting of my ways, that he will bless me and these signs of the plague will go away. But I only played a 5.
So someone will have to help.
Someone's to help me. So, David, what's the verdict on your cards? Do you have them or no?
Yeah, they are saved.
Cool.
Nice.
Good. Awesome.
Nice.
Good to know. We'll tell Shane that too, so he'll know that
Yeah.
it works as even in situations like that. So who gets the first crack at trying to save me here? I think it's Mario. Or no, it's David. Sorry, it's David.
What did you play?
Right now, its heart is low. If you don't help me, my prayer is going to just isn't going to matter, and I'm going to keep getting sick, or I'm still going to keep having plague.
Interesting.
Give me a heart. Let Barl and let our love save me. Our love. Our three-way with Jesus saved me.
Yeah, I don't think I can help you.
All right, Patrick. Three-way with Jesus. Come on, redemption.
I don't know. I feel like there's maybe nothing to be done once those spots appear.
Oh. I'd like to have a little scene if that's okay. Like just to sort of denouement it. I'll say, this is after a number of days of like prayer and teaching and stuff, and I come to your room, your sparse Spartan rooms, and I say, and I show you my hands, and it's getting worse, and I say, it would seem it didn't work. It would seem that God has abandoned me.
That can't be so. You have the love of humanity in your heart, do you not?
Yes, but the signs of his judgment are on my hands yet still. It all meant nothing, it would seem.
I don't believe that what we do means nothing, but it does mean that perhaps what we have done in the past is outweighing what we've done now.
Then there is no hope for me.
You mustn't give up.
I will succumb to this. It will spread over my body. And I won't be here. I won't be here for Diana and Jessalyn. I won't be here for my people. I will just waste away like all the rest of them.
Don't give in to despair, Philip. You've come so far in such a short time.
And I say, don't be so naive, Barrow. We're all going to die. And then I turn and leave.
Fucking white privilege guy.
I turn with my plague and my despair. I turn and leave the room.
I did pray for a week, you know. No, that's awesome.
So I take an 8 of spades. All right. Okay, so let's go back to the other scene. With
so there's
peasants crashing against the gates here.
Semi-coordinated rush on the gate guards.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a jack of clubs that you have to beat.
It's a jack of clubs that I have to beat.
Yeah.
I am playing a... that didn't work. Let's try again. 4 of hearts. And I think that's the scrutiny comes out with arms and like, the Archduke demanded that these children be safe.
Neat. So it starts with Beryl.
Intervening with hearts?
No.
Yes, I am.
Nice. Beryl, intervening with clubs.
With clubs. So what is it again? So heart would overturn that.
So there's two cards. There's basically
right?
2 cards against 1 card right now. If you play a club, it'll be 2-on-2, but the club will win because it's Trump.
Right, but like the overall narrative is if this wins, then our defenses are breached, right?
No, not necessarily.
Or just some violence happens. Like there's just a nasty bout of violence in some way.
Yeah. But like as it stands right now, violence is not winning, hope is winning.
Yeah.
Hope is winning. I like that. Okay, I'll let that happen.
So that means Mordio is taking an 8 of hearts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is these people come rushing out of their wherever they're hiding, and the scrutiny meets them. And the scrutiny is very good at what they do, and they are managing to keep the children safe. And they actually like form a wedge around the children, and the children like come inside the gate, and like then the scrutiny backs up and they close the gate, and the children are safe inside.
Oh, so we let the kids in to save. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Nice.
Even the twins, Archbishop.
Especially the twins.
Yeah.
Yes. Ruthless Nox is fighting like right in front of them.
Nice. Nice. All right. All right. I'm getting down to I'm down to 3 cards. What's everybody down to right now?
4.
4.
I have 3.
I have 5.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
should get rid of some, I guess.
No. Because if we go down to 1 first, or 0, yeah, basically, if we go down to 1 first, like you get to essentially drop whatever cards you want on us, basically, like whoever you target. So.
In that case, I have 3.
Let's see here. Who's the next framer? It's going to be Barl.
Oh no, but I just did mine, right?
Yeah,
Or you?
because
Oh,
we're
that's right.
skipping back
Yeah,
and
so it's
forth.
me. Sorry, it's me. Got it. What do I want to do here? I'm going to target Mordio Word.
All right.
And how do I go about this? I'm playing a Queen of Spades.
Ooh.
And this person is Prince Yor. Prince Yor from the north. And I think, just so you know what his deal is, I think Prince Gior has basically lost his family to the plague. He lost his family, he lost the people he loves, and he's been like in a seriously dark, depressed place since he arrived. Like the decadence, all the stuff, like all the trappings of this place have not brought him around. You know, I think the Archduke intends to like marry him off, like use him as like a sort of, you know, sort of a ward or political pawn at some point. And so he just feels like he's got nothing. He's lost everything and he's lost control of his life because he's been paupered, right? And he's a fairly attractive young prince, I think. Very innocent, big blue eyes, like baby face, probably like in his, probably in his like late 20s. And he comes to your chambers, Archbishop, and says, "Oh, Archbishop, I hope I'm not bothering you."
Please, Your Grace, come in. Of course, I'm here to serve.
I just need to speak to you about something rather urgent.
All right.
I can't do this anymore. I've lost everyone important in my life. I have no more. My name is just a name. It's all it's good for. I have no more money. I have no more lands. I'm here at the whim of the Archduke. I know that you can help me.
Your Grace, all is not lost to you. There are powers and protections more than just the Archduke's. Here, meet Brother John, and I'm gonna call out that my new acolyte.
Yeah.
As I start explaining to him that there can be purpose yet in his life, there can be position yet in his life. All you have to do is say a few oaths, wear the right clothes. You the Order of the Ashen Brotherhood is looking for new blood, and such a legacy, such a name as yours, you would be a priest welcome anywhere in any situation, revered for the rest of your days. And there are other benefits to cloistered life as well.
Are you defending the diamond here?
If I can select a damn card.
It could go either way, the way you've described it.
Ace of Hearts.
Hearts. Okay, so you're not tempting him with in that way.
A little.
Yeah, a little. Sure. Somebody want to help me? Basically, I think if I win, I'm gonna convince Mordio to help me kill myself. This character. So.
To kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. I don't want that.
So you're not giving me a spade.
No, you can't die.
You don't even know this guy.
It's just some guy. It's not the Archduke.
Yeah, but still, it's just some guy. It's okay.
What's the state of things right now? What will happen?
Basically, I've got low spade against high heart, and it's between me ending it and the Archbishop helping me end it, or turning to a life of God.
Nah, I'm too low on cards to be helping that one.
You're breaking through, so I say, this can't. Do you really think? I mean, I never saw myself as a man of the cloth.
I come from a very different background than you might think, and this robe has protected me through many trials in life. I walk through the sick and I am not harmed. I walk through the rich with nothing and they do not despise me. I have a voice and influence in this world. You could too.
And he nods, and I say, very well. Perhaps I could come here tomorrow for our first lesson.
I think that would be wonderful.
And for the first time in the weeks that you've been behind these walls and seen him, he smiles, if ever so faintly.
Aww.
Oh.
Yeah, doesn't that feel good?
Fuck, now I have to put a heart down. Fuck hearts. All right, I'm down to 2 cards. All right, David.
It's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm targeting Barl. And the scene is similar. I have brought him, my character is in the scene, and I have brought Barl to the tower again. And this time, instead of baskets on this device that will like kind of lever over the side, there is a board with a man strapped to it. And there are all manner of bladed implements on a tray nearby. And I bring him out here, and you can hear, now that we've moved the children inside, now there is all manner of like the blacksmiths like rabble are out there like banging on the gates and like trying to figure out a way to get it open. And strapped to the board, this man, it's the blacksmith. And
he's the one that like led the revolt, right?
Yeah, he's the one that led the revolt. And I look at Barl. This man would have trampled the children to get in here. He would have brought the plague upon the rest of us, seen us all dead. What do you think we should do, with such a man. And I grab like a curved blade and I like offer it out to you. And
Pretty sure this is a club.
yeah, this is a club. 6 of clubs.
6 of clubs. Oh shoot. Okay. So the only thing that can beat it is a higher club, right?
A higher number of anything.
Any higher card. Yeah.
It has to be higher, not match.
If it matches, it'll lose because club is trump. So.
Oh, right. Okay. Then I will play this Jack of Diamonds. Does that win?
Oh, it will, but you have to introduce an NPC.
Yeah.
Also, all right, let's get intervening moments before anything else. Anyone intervening?
I'd like to hear the Jack of Diamonds is first.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's if it's I don't know what the time has been since before, but I'm thinking maybe the someone that was taken in is actually ends up being pretty important. Like one of the children ends up being like a cousin of the king or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends up being them. So basically you would be, you can't do this because the kid comes along and you would be torturing someone in front of a child.
Someone's okay, that's good. Like some connected person's kid, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. We should name that person.
All right, so now anyone intervening?
I think it starts with Jason.
Yeah. Tough decision. I will.
Putting a club in?
Looks like my card's gone now, though.
Yeah, I accidentally double-clicked on it.
Oh.
It's weird that it even does that.
It's like the dice reroll.
Doing that, yeah.
Like if you double-click on a die, it rerolls. If you double-click on a card, it draws a new one.
There's something we changed to make that not the case. Save last roll, maybe, or I don't know. But...
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. All right, so now the state of affairs are in favor of the clubs.
Clubs are in favor, yeah. And I know, and basically, what's going to happen? I think what's going to happen is if we win, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be some young royal boy, right, comes up to, and you're like, oh shit, I can't hurt these people in front of this little kid. And then I think the Archduke, caught up in his misery and despair, will come up and be like, no, this is the way the world is. It's best you see this, and then point to something to the violence.
Something like that will happen, unless we have another intervening. Patrick,
I have nothing to throw.
All right, great. So I get narration right of how this goes down.
Yeah. I mean, my move. I mean, I get to narrate for my edition, but my move is basically like if this little royal boy comes up, I will basically like step in and say, Archduke Philip will step in and say like, no, it's best if you,
yes,
no, don't steady your hand, ruthless Knox. It's best that if he is to rule his own land someday, it's best that he sees what the world is like.
And I nod and I look at Barrow and I put the blade in his hand and I look back at this kid and I think he's like, he's kind of chubby and he has like some kind of snack just all over his face, and he's still like holding some of it. So he's being like, it's like his head has been turned to watch this. And I look at the kid and I grab Barrel's hand with the blade in it and I draw it across the blacksmith's midsection. And then I like release the contraption so that it springs him so he's hanging over the side and all of his guts just come spilling out all over his rabble that are down outside and they disperse. In horror.
Yeah, I'll say. Okay,
and I leave Barrow holding that bloody blade.
Okay,
and
well,
I'll look at Barrow as I leave, and I'll just say, God has abandoned us.
Okay, well, I think that you guys just made Batman, just so you know. But okay, that kid will grow up. Okay, so I'm taking a 6 of clubs. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, you're taking a 6 of clubs.
Got it. That was gross. Nice.
And I'm down to 1 card, just FYI. So if you play a card on me, I can choose to not defend, and I just take it. So
So is it me?
yeah, yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this will be on the Archduke, just because it sort of falls on him. As the Archduke has sort of come to terms with his illness. But it's around the same time that you start getting reports of various and sundry other nobles dropping either dead or sick as well. As going to reveal a 10 of spades. As I think order is sort of starting to break down, as like the nobles and servants left. They're seeing less and less safety here. There's a couple of people that run out of the castle, like break out and try and go hide somewhere else. I think people are giving in to the despair.
I will not play a card. I'll just take that and succumb to the despair. And I think the way this plays out, I hear these reports. I hear about orders breaking down within the castle. The jubilance, the joy, the celebrating is like going away, and I go to the room of my lovely daughter Jessalyn, and while she's sleeping, and I just sit down next to her and I kiss her cheek. And as I lift up, from having kissed her cheek, near her, maybe a little bit near her mouth, you can see plague sores on my mouth, that would have rubbed up against her. And I just kind of whisper, "No matter what happens, we'll be together." And then we get up and leave.
Leave it to Jason to make me feel bad for the guy after he's
And just theoretically, could someone intervene
No.
on this? It's closed. All right.
Yeah. You get 10 of spades.
So if you succumb, there's no helping.
Yep.
Gotcha.
All right. Okie doke. Who's next?
I think
Barrel's next.
Yeah. I want to frame up a scene with Ruthless Knox, and I want the scene to be shortly after the gut scene. I think Barl is still fuming, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think the knife is too important, but he confronts you. I think maybe there's a barracks or something like that, and maybe you're inspecting it, and he closes the door as you're inspecting it to have just privacy with just you, and he says, why did you do that?
We had to disperse the rebels. It was effective as intended.
I can't decide who's the most evil person right here. I think that you are truly lost You're a lost individual. And I think, furthermore, that you could not devise these punishments if you were someone who has known pain in their life. I think that you are only someone who dishes it out and can't take it. So as I said, I can't remember if it was a scene with you, but I said before that I was like, I've kind of trained in battle and stuff, and he wants to
Yeah, you dispatched those peasants before pretty easily.
Yeah,
right? Wasn't it
exactly.
you?
So yeah, and that was in front of you as well. So I think what you need is the hand of God, literally. And I will play a 5 of clubs. And having known pain yourself, perhaps you'll stop dishing it out. As I Christ punch you.
And
play a diamond and make him whip you.
no, and I reveal 7 of clubs.
Oh. Oh, so you're the one that wins?
I'm the one that wins with violence.
And oh yeah, because no one can help either, right?
No one can intervene.
Okay.
I take off the glove off of my left hand, and you can see my mutilated hand. And I hold it up in front of your face. I'm like, you know nothing of the order of the scrutiny. We train so that we know every pain that we are inflicting. And I rip my clothes and take off my armor, and you can see all kinds of scars all across my chest. I'm just like, there is nothing you could do to me that would hurt me, priest. You are pathetic, and I was trying to make you more than you are by helping your hand draw the blade across that scum, that rebellious worm. But you, and I point my left hand, it's all mutilated, and your face, you don't even have the stomach for that. And I just start smacking you with that just messed up hand. Clearly it should be hurting me because this hand is all kinds of messed up. But it doesn't, I don't care. I just keep hitting you. Just all across your face until you flee the room. And then I put my glove back on and go back to my business.
This story is gonna end with a bad parable, I think.
All right, so you're taking a club there, Beryl.
Yeah, I put it down as 7 clubs.
Cool. Okay, I've only got 1 card left, and so I will use it to attack, and that's going to be that. Once I'm down to 0 cards, you can no longer target me. I can't be targeted anymore. So, and my story is basically done until the epilogue. I guess unless I don't know if I get framed in somehow, but I'm not sure how that would go. I'm going to play this card, target it on. Going to target it on Beryl. It's a 6 of spades. And I think it's going to be Archduke Philip. I think you come to my room like you have been. I've heard about what happened between the argument with you and Ruthless Knox, and I know what happened with the murdering the blacksmith. And I bring you, so I've summoned you, and I'm in my room, and I'm dressed in funereal black, black velvet doublet, cloak. And I'm sitting eating a very, very simple meal of just a couple of roasted apples and a piece of, simple, a plain piece of just meat and water. And I say, "You've had an interesting few days, Brother Barl."
Oh yes, they've been quite eventful, and I think it comes off a little slurred because he's got a puffy mouth.
So, our little journey, I feel, is coming to an end. Do you feel like you have seen the truth of this matter? Do you understand now that your faith is utterly meaningless?
I think that I think the point is to find the meaning. If you haven't done so, then you haven't finished.
And yet, here you are, watching people die, watching me fall into despair, watching the leader of your order corrupt. Nothing but misery, people dying outside the walls. And all the time you spend on your knees praying hasn't helped one single bit. It just seems like a loser's game you're playing. Barl, the devoted.
So, and you're trying to make me despair, I think. I think, let's see. So if I play...
You've got to beat a 6 if you
Yeah.
don't want to succumb to it.
I'm gonna play the Ace of Spades.
That'll be a 1 versus a 6. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's only good if it's against a
Yeah.
high card.
Well, so how do you feel? How do you react? How do you despair?
Was anyone gonna help me?
Yeah, we're playing
We
with
can't
right.
get spades and spades. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think he says I've been watching my whole life, and we get the flashback of him watching his mother get flayed and killed and all that. And he's like, I guess my role in life is simply to bear witness, but not to make waves amongst the ocean.
Passive.
Yes.
Good. Mark down 6 of spades.
I am the blank parchment of which men write, and it is not good.
Perfect. So I'm next, right?
Max, you are next, yeah.
I'm next, and I only have one card, and I will also target Barl. This is immediately following that meeting you had, where you are in a moment of despair. You're not certain quite what your purpose is beyond observation of this cruel, cruel world. And you're passing through the hallway, leaving his room, and you pass by the room where we have put all the children, and you hear a coughing. And I am playing a 5 of spades.
That I'll get the plague. Is that what it is? That I'll essentially get the plague, or
Not you. No, you just hear coughing from where the children are.
so why would I get despair? Just that I would think that they're dying or something?
Oh, well, it could be plague too, right? The spades. It doesn't have to be despair.
Oh,
necessarily.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would imagine you would be just in despair that the children that we let in to save have the plague.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't know. But yeah.
And I will play a 6 of diamonds then.
Oh, so you overcome it with opulence somehow. Unless
Yeah,
somebody
one-
intervenes.
I can't intervene. Got nothing.
Intervene, Patrick.
I can't intervene either.
All right.
Does it have to be me that it does it, or can somebody else?
It could be circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I'm like walking and I hear the cough, and I pause with like despair welling in my mouth. But then a whole bunch of servants and such staff come in and begin to like actually take care of the children. And then I keep walking, maybe. Like the opulence is them actually being taken care of instead of wallowing in like
I'm into
the
that.
filth. And,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
someone's taking
just-
action.
Yeah, they just wheel in like all these like tureens of soup, and like it's just like children who have colds. They don't actually have the plague or something.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. It's like the Archduke has given up, but the staff hasn't, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm out of cards.
All right, and you note that diamond down.
And then it's back to me.
It has to be against me then, right?
You have cards?
Yeah, I have a card.
Okay. Um. So, I think this involves Mordio himself, who has seen like first the nobles and the kitchen staff, and then spreading through basically everyone else here. The plague is starting to wash through here. It's no better than the outside, and the people here are no better than the dead. So he sees it as his responsibility to carry out his rights, and I think you come across him down in like where they store resin and pitch and stuff, and he's there with a torch and his Bible, and he's reading a funeral prayer for the castle before he's gonna light it up with my incredibly mighty 2 of clubs.
Your plan is to kill everyone?
Well, they're all dead already.
Of course.
He wants to start a fire in the castle.
Yep.
So I just want to intervene with a quick like mechanical note here, so you guys understand. So you're down to 1 card, right, Fraser?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have to respond. You can just take that 2 of clubs, okay? And then you get, would that put you at 0, Patrick?
No, I'd still have 1 left.
Okay, so you could because you have 1 left, Barl. You don't have to respond, and you get another turn, right, where you
Right.
target the
Right.
priest, right? Yeah, so just know that.
But I'm gonna reveal my last card, the 4 of clubs, and I think you get Christ punched. So,
Damn that Christ punch.
yeah, someone's gonna get Christ punched. But yeah, I just say like, are you stark raving mad, old man? You would burn everybody?
I think we have very much like the Mordio on his knees and you doing the slap, like, get a hold of yourself sort of thing.
Yeah, except that I think I overindulge and I beat you.
Beat the shit out of
Yeah. Yeah, like I think like the darkness is represented in Barl by actually like whatever hand you were holding the torch with, he like breaks it with his boot so that you'll never hold like something in that hand again, kind of thing. And he says, if you threaten anyone in this castle again, I will end you, or the Lord will end you through me. But now you have a last card, so we'll see what happens. Oh wait, but he can't target me because I have no cards.
No, now that if you're the last person with just a single card, you basically get a free round on someone of your choice. So.
Well, I think you should choose somebody else.
So essentially the question is, who are you giving a card to here?
Yeah.
And you also take that 4 of clubs. I guess you noted it. So.
Yeah. Oh, and also the last part of that scene, I think, is when that happens, we know that Barl has been like corrupted as well, because I think as he's leaving, you're like on the ground and like bloodied, and where we just get a camera shot of your hand, and you're clutching at the white thing that was hanging on his priest apparel. And as he walks away, that's the only thing you're holding, and he walks out with just a purely black cloak now.
Nice. I think your white thing falls down in like my blood on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
So why not? This last one's gonna be for Archduke Philip. As you know, the castle has devolved into sort of chaos and illness, and then this fire starts up, and you just have one thought left in your mind, and that is for Diana, your other daughter, who has been like tending people from the town ever since people in here started to get sick. She's been tending people in here, and she hasn't shown any sign of the plague. She's like seems to be immune to it. And I think you run to her suite and you gather her up to get her out like a secret underground passage out through the basements of the castle to get out before the chaos hits. As I have a 10 of hearts.
God damn it.
Yeah, you can tell Jason did not want that heart.
I would have been a winner if you hadn't done that. God damn it.
I had a feeling.
Okay. I think. Wait, how many hearts do I have? 1, 2. Yeah, I had 3. Yeah, that puts me at 3 hearts. So yeah. Boo. All right. Good scene though. Feels like a good moment for Archduke Philip, if not a good moment for me as a player. Awesome. That's it. So we'll do our epilogues after we do all the math. So what was your guys's? And then we'll take a break before we do epilogues. Spades was my chosen thing. That's what I wanted, but I didn't end up with it. What was yours, David?
I chose clubs, and I have 2 clubs.
Sweet. What was yours, Patrick?
I chose clubs. I have 2 clubs, 2 spades, and 2 diamonds.
And clubs are trumps, so you win.
Oh wow!
Beryl, what was yours?
I chose hearts, of course, and I didn't get it. I have like 2 diamonds, 2 spades, and 2 clubs.
Okay.
So let's figure out what.
So we tied, or
well, so if no, there can be multiple winners, so that's fine. But for now, just take note of what your character's fate was. Mine was hearts because I had the most hearts, and yours was David, and Mordio's was clubs, right?
Clubs. Yeah.
So mine must be clubs too, because I have 2 clubs.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you have 2 of the other things, yep. So
Yeah. Okay.
lots of club outcomes and one heart outcome for the Archduke, who's a prick. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah. I had like a whatchamacallit. I only had 2 hearts in my entire hand, so I was like, everybody else has got to have hearts. And as we start playing, I'm like, I'm super fucked.
Let's talk about the fates. So so the fate of the characters. I'll just read off what you guys. This will help you like frame up your epilogue. So I had hearts, so I'll just go ahead and read mine. Love and forgiveness. Hearts represent what most people want as their fate, that they leave the castle rejuvenated and spared from the plague, looking to create something from the ruins before them. They might have found love, and that support is what heals them. It might be that the horror of the plague has actually brought out the best in them and left them with the urge to do their best for the world. Either way, they leave the castle secure and hopeful of a new tomorrow. So I get the good character victory here.
Huh.
I bet your servants rally to save you or something.
Yeah, everybody else has clubs, right? So
Yeah.
violence and disaster. If your fate is clubs, all 3 of you, you may not survive the story. You will be led into a confrontation you cannot win. This might mean you are beaten into a submission that destroys your will. However, it is more likely you will be killed in a duel or some other conflict that leads to bloodshed. So be thinking
What
about
about
that.
if we won with clubs, or is the win just a
The
totally
win's-
meta thing?
The win's another thing. Well, the win lets you lets you get narration rights on the fate of the castle and the land. The fate of the castle. So, what was the most omnipresent card of like? Let's count up the. I guess the highest was clubs. I guess 1, 2,
Maybe
4, 5, 6. I count 6 clubs. 1, 2 diamonds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's 7 diamonds.
5
7
hearts.
And how many spades? 1, 2, 3, 6 spades.
Yeah, so diamonds.
So the fate of the castle is diamonds. So for the winners, who were the winners? It was David and Patrick.
Yeah.
You guys will take turns kind of showing the outcome of the castle and the lands. For diamonds, it's vice and decadence. Even if the plague has gone, those in the castle are too far past caring to notice. The outside becomes a dream, and those inside the dreamers. The inhabitants spend their days trying to blot out their existence in an unceasing haze of drugs, sex, and alcohol, oblivious to anything but their next fix. So you'll narrate the fate of the castle, and you can also narrate as you wish whatever happens to the lands outside the castle. So let's just take like 5 minutes and we'll come back and do epilogues, right?
Okay.
Okay. Who wants to go first with their character epilogue?
I know what mine will be.
Go for it.
I think right after beating up Mordio, I stumble out, like still not realizing really what I had done, because I was like in a fit of rage kind of deal. And I go to the gate and open it, and then I think there's like all the peasants and stuff there. But interspersed within that is the blacksmith's men, and they were obviously watching me slit the guy's chest open and pull it out and stuff. So I think I like in an attempt to flee this horrible circumstance get picked off by some of these blacksmiths, and they do in like a cyclical nature. They put me on a whatchamacallit, the post where the bodies were being burnt, and we get the same juxtaposed scene of what I saw at the very beginning of my mother being burned. And as he goes up, he looks into the crowd, and there's another boy's face that looks exactly like him, looking back into his eyes as he goes up like a pyre.
That's grim.
I'll follow up on that. After he opens the gate, like he fails to like close it behind him, and the scrutiny must repel this rabble. And I'm leading the spear on this one with the wedge, and we're pushing them out. And then it becomes apparent that the blacksmith's wife has released to whoever were the blacksmith's men like a secret hidden cache of swords. And so we're like in an honest to God fight here with these peasants. And our stupid ceremonial armor is not protecting us against real swords. And like one guy like stabs me, and I just like grab his arm and like cut his head off. And like another guy stabs me, and I like go down on one knee and I like cut his leg out from under him. And then they just dogpile me until the scrutiny like have forced the peasants out and they retreat, and I'm not among them. And they managed to get the gates closed.
I think Mordio, there's a scene of him, and I never did give a name to that other guy. Andril. Newly minted brother Andril. We're running towards a side gate in the castle. It's just got like one guard on it, especially with the violence going on up towards the front gate. And I managed to sneak up behind him and like cut his throat before he can do anything. He falls on the ground, and we're working our way out the gate as Prince Gior. He's there. He sort of steps out and sees what I've done, and he begins yelling at me like, you convinced me to give up my life, my birthright, my family, my power for this faith, for this God, and you're not even staying to help these people. You're just going to kill more and run off into the night. So what you and your new apprentice can escape this together, that you can take God's blessing away from this? And I think he flies into a sort of Viking type fury as he comes forward, and he begins beating why can I not remember my own character's name? Mordio. Begins beating Mordio. I think he eventually, like, as he's falling back, like Mordio falls against the corner of the stone doorway, splits his head as Andril goes running off into the night. And I think Gior stays there in the castle and turns around with a new sort of purpose.
Diana and I escaped the fire, and we escaped the fire, and realizing that the people had probably turned against me, almost certainly, I chose to go into hiding, and I deposited Diana into a convent, kissed her on the forehead, gave her to the sisters, and that was that. And then I went to a small fishing village on my lands. I left behind my fine raiment. I used what little bit of coin I managed to squirrel away in my pockets to purchase a boat and a little shack. And I spent the rest of my days fishing. And I used what little money I had left over and the money I earned from my new career to erect a chapel. And I named the chapel. I consecrated it in Barl's name. So,
Yay, he did some good. All he had to do was whip somebody a little.
and now the castle and the lands. What do those fates look like? Maybe one of you do the lands, one of you do the castle. Does that sound good?
You have a preference, David?
No preference.
Well, I'll do the castle, and this is diamonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think Gior, like, fed up with the idiocies of this land and these people, is basically going to use his newfound motivation to stride back into the ruined sort of social structure of this castle, and assert his dominance, taking over, sitting in the high seat of this castle, and sort of claiming it as his feast hall. That fine, those of us here, we have defeated death, we have defeated fate, we've defeated God's negligence, and the spoils of war are here for any that want to come, prove their worth and partake of it, as he sort of sets up this downward spiral, eating through all of the riches and stores of this castle and this land in a never-ending debaucherous party.
For the lands, the plague recedes and there is no more sickness, and the survivors live off the fat of what has been left behind, all the wealth of those who are past. And they begin to, like the merchants, like begin to trade in luxuries, because they have so much excess that they can export the luxuries for more wealth. And the motto of the land really becomes, there is only today to live for. And they're able to export this lavishness to every other nation.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Do you guys want to debrief here or Discord or what?
Either one. I definitely want to debrief.
Yeah, we can do. Let's debrief here. So, what do you think?
I need a sigh. I need a sigh.
It was really good. Yeah, it was good. There was some really, really good moments, and it felt like a really coherent story. And yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it's always like, it's not surprising anymore because I've done it so many times, but it's always like fascinating how well these systems like work.
Yeah, for something that I scribbled down in about 20 words, I think, and basically got the whole system, that was the tightness of that story, and the way all the themes kept folding back in on each other was impressive as hell.
Yeah. I liked it a lot too, because I was hoping to get a cyclical story out of my character, and I did. Like the whole game, I was going to see how corrupted he would get, basically, is what I was curious about. So it was interesting that, I really like the mechanics because they defer, or like, even when other people are trumping, it doesn't feel like they're like fucking you, right?
Stepping
It's just-
on your story, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like it was just really fun to have like the prepared, like, I'm gonna make Archduke Philip be a nice person, because instead of like fucking, we're gonna make love, and then instead it was like this, like the opposite.
And you did eventually save him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So it was all like came together in such a nice story that there was no like predictive elements that you could have seen coming. And,
Yeah. The stepping out and having the battle of who's going to put cards down, like, was not at all intrusive. Like it there's so much tension in those moments that it's like, who's gonna put a card down? Like,
Yeah, and it's this slow sort of like, okay, give me a few more details. I want to see which storyline I really want to back here. I never got involved in conflicts because I had looked at like who had how many of what cards, and I
I
wanted
didn't
to change
either.
that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I want to know like what kind of story am I going to get if I play this, if I play here, right? You know, like it was like negotiating for narrative or something, you know. Like outcomes.
I had moments where I could have taken on spades, but I wasn't interested enough in being the winner that I was like willing to give up that narrative control. Like, I really, really wanted to play Ruthless Knox the way that I was seeing him in my mind.
Yeah. I think that's what's great about it, because you can do it both ways, right? You can choose to try to play to win, right? Or you can, or you can try to play for story, and the system, no matter what, like it all holds up, you know.
Yeah. I was like, just from my hand, I knew that I was gonna have a darker end, so I just played it up that way, because I got rid of all of my like nicer cards except for the 10 of spades or 10 of diamonds that I kept right away, and then I was like, well, it's all black now. So let's go.
It's all going dark. I had a mix of red and black. My main thing was like, I want to see these characters' values challenged, right? Like that was kind of my main thing. So like I wanted to see Ruthless Knox like be like tempted to good, right? Like I was trying to do that with Lady Jessalyn, and I think it would have been interesting, right? Like it was interesting the way it turned out. Like we saw like that incredibly condescending scene where like Knox is just like, oh, you come sit over here with the musicians, right? While the menfolk go do all the important business of the castle, right? Like it was that. And then but it could have gone the other way, right? Like I think it would have been an equally interesting story if Jessalyn had reached Knox, right? And like, it had been a romance, like I think that would have been great too. So
it would have been interesting for sure. But he was very one-dimensional. Like he's such a bad person.
Yeah, I was really curious what way you would go with the dream, because I was like, even in like your little tiniest of hearts, are you like looking for absolution at all? It's dead, literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had sort of I think a similar questioning approach to like how I approach the Archduke there, as I kept trying to hit you with questions of like, how are you going to be a leader? Are you going to step forward and be a good leader? Or are you just gonna like sit back and wallow in your decadence and not get involved? Are you gonna make it worse?
Mm-hmm.
It was.
I mean, I feel like I got a pretty good like. I started as a fucking asshole, right? I mean, like, my character was a dick, and like we saw it from the very beginning, like when he made all the servants work until all hours of the day and night, and then like kicked out the sick ones, right? I mean, and then the whole like scene with Edwards and all that stuff, and then like
you saved the children.
But then I started like hanging out with Barl, and initially it was a little awkward, but like, but I started hanging out with Barl, and even though I was getting physically sick, I think I was like becoming spiritually whole, right? And I saw that, so I really liked it.
Yeah.
You had the Holy Ghost give you some fervor.
I love the archbishops. Like, I love in the beginning, especially. I love the archbishops like very like conspicuous poverty. Right? Like, I was really into that, and like the idea, and I just love the idea of like, okay, well, I'll indulge in this wine with you, but play a dirge, you know?
Yeah.
So it just seems so appropriate. I really love that moment. I thought that was great.
Oh man.
But yeah, it was good times.
It's heavy as fuck game though.
Yeah, really. I think we could have even gone worse, honestly. Like, I think
Oh yeah.
there were a couple of instances where like people were like where like the scene got bailed out in that way, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
it definitely could have been like worse,
if
right?
the children weren't saved, like I had like a terrible thing.
I knew you did, and but I was glad it worked out the way it did, because I'm sure that would have been great to see, but I also felt like it was appropriate for like my character's development, right?
No, I was super glad that like it kind of furthered your arc of like redemption.
But yeah, there were definitely some really dark choices left on the table there. Of no, we didn't do that one, but it almost happened.
It almost happened.
Yeah.
We all knew where it was pointing, right?
I was pretty close to just letting you light the whole thing on fire. So I was like, it would be interesting, but I don't think he's given up that much yet.
Well, it was really great. I liked it a lot.
That was good. Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah, I wish Dance of the Damned is like, it's so under the radar, right? Like, nobody knows about this game. You know, it's like really, really like. I think it was a Game Chef game, maybe.
Oh yeah, it's it doesn't even have like a review on drive-thru. I think when I looked at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely under the radar. If you look at the names of the people who made it, I have no idea who these people are, and it seems like a lot of people from like a Scandinavian country, maybe. So maybe it's that whole crowd, but you know, it's. I think it deserves more attention. I think it's a really good game. You know, like it's. Yeah. I think it's unjustly under the radar. So.
Yeah,
I'm so glad. Oh, go ahead.
The thing I like about story games so much is that you get the free play, but you just get like a little theme to play with, and then it's very easy to be like imaginative and think up something really cool. Even at the beginning, I was like, I don't know. I hope I can come up with stuff, and then it flowed very naturally and easily. I think like there was no weak scene in the whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And like it's free form, but like there's just enough like rule framework to, you know, to get an outcome, right? You know, like to get a certain outcome. It's not like we're just talking and storytelling. Like there is a game there, you know. Well, this one has a literal game, like where you're trying to like actually win, you know. So
yeah, it's always interesting when a story game tries to have something like that.
It's rare, super rare, right? Like when there's a win condition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to the end. I was like, "Oh, I accidentally won." Oh wait, my
See, I was trying to win. I was trying to win. When I got that second spade and it tied them all up, I was like, "Okay, good. I win on the trump." So that's great. I was like, "I'm set. I'm totally set." And then. And I was like, "Oh shit!"
But you started getting some hearts.
He's gonna target me.
Yeah, that's why I was like, "Oh yeah, you get some hearts." I was like, "I wish I was the one getting hearts, but someone's getting hearts."
No, yeah, I was interested to win until the moment of the fiction, and I was like, "No, I want to tell the story in a slightly different way."
And you still won.
I still ended up winning. Yeah, it's just
Right,
I took very few cards.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. You got what you needed early, and then
basically. And then people kept voting for Ruthless Nox to do his nasty thing.
Yeah.
He was so wonderful to watch.
Yeah, I think this is definitely like one of my favorite characters, like iconic. I think I'll probably use him in other settings and things. Like this is like Cabal Crane for me.
I want to say about that. I love the little like internal like setting stuff we did, right? Like giving the scrutinies their own like little hierarchy, and then we played with that hierarchy with the servants, and then like I liked all that. I thought that was all great, you know. We were kind of creating a little world, which I thought was really terrific. You don't often get that.
Yeah, it's a little fantasy kind of ish, but like medieval fantasy.
Yeah, Game of Thrones ish. Like we never like came out and said like Jesus. We just kind of alluded to. Christ-like religion or whatever, right?
And like if it had been a novel, it would have been a really good book to read. Like it has some foreshadowing at the beginning, but yeah, like there's no specific, like, you know how sometimes when you read stories like this, it's always like that guy's an asshole, so he has to die. And you know, like eventually they'll get their comeuppance, but the comeuppance was like, I grow old to be a nice fisherman.
And it was a surprisingly like fulfilling and sensible path that the plot took for something that's just random scenes informed by how the cards lay out. Like it actually wrapped up in a satisfying way.
We had really good like callbacks and stuff like that. Like first, like Barl was flying in the face of Ruthless Nox and taking bread down to the peasants, and then like under his tutelage, like the Archduke did the same thing,
right?
Oh man,
exactly. Like there was, I noticed that too. There was an echo of like Barl did that first, and then Barl started teaching the Archduke, and so the Archduke then did it, right? Great.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good symmetry.
There was lots of little symmetries and echoes like that. Yeah, it's good.
It's a good story.
Cool.
I would read that short story.
That's the whole, like, that's what I was thinking the whole time, especially at the end. I was like, I would read this. Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm gonna stop this.